only a select few who leave their mark permanently etched into history. Mere mortals who all had their own unique paths in becoming eternal legends. The path to the top might be for the gamblers, those who make their own luck, the ones who whisper into probability's ear. Not today. Sometimes it is for the gifted, the ones who through sheer force of will bend the laws of physics. Simply theirs for the taking. The ones.
Qual è il programma?
La guerra. I tempi stanno cambiando.
Vogliamo che tu li combatta per mostrare loro chi siamo.
Oh Lord, my Lord and Savior, please deliver me.
And I get free food and just get to travel around the world, so there's nothing really you can complain about.
The worst thing I would say is you have not much time for friends you had before, you don't have much time for family.
We see a lot of different countries, different cities, different culture. Some things like people don't have the chance to see it even their entire life.
Talking about being a pro player, for me, the worst part, at least for us Brazilians, that we have to play in North America, 100% sure that is like being like far from your own family. And in my opinion, man, being Counter-Strike player, it's perfect. This is the only thing that is kind of bad, but we have breaks, we have vacations, so we have nothing to complain about. I mean, we play like Counter-Strike for living. It's like a dream coming true.
The other part of it is sacrificing time, free time, probably sacrificing time with your family and stuff. Every one of us didn't see our family this year so much, so we will hopefully have time for that later.
And sometimes it's hard because we don't have a lot of holidays, to be honest. We have like maybe 4, maximum 5 weeks, and even not like in the entire year. We a lot of times don't have the weekend because we are in events.
You do what you love, that's the other side. You do what you love with your friends, hopefully. Like my teammates are also my friends. So these kind of things, doing what you love with your friends. And it was always for me like a big thing, even if I were studying, it's like if you work together for something, it's better than doing it for your own, because it's like the team spirit and all this other stuff is so important for me, and it's also great to achieve something together.
It's like your job, but almost like more than just a job. It's like 80% of your life. So sometimes it's good, but sometimes you would like to just relax, staying at home and enjoy like a normal life.
If I wasn't a Counter-Strike player, I don't know if I would ever like be here. So to meet new countries, new cultures, this is the best part of being a Counter-Strike player for sure.
So in order to become a professional gamer, you do have to sacrifice a lot, but at the same time, being honest with yourself and your parents is really important. And by being honest with yourself, I mean, do you really see potential in yourself going to become a professional gamer, or are you just wasting your time and actually forcing yourself to do something that you can't beat? So I think that's probably one of the most important things that you need to figure out first before you think about being a professional gamer. And there are a lot of hardships when it comes to traveling because you don't get time, you don't get free time, especially for me as an inexperienced in-game leader now. I have to research a lot on other teams. You don't have time to go hang out with your team that much, or you don't want to, or if you want to go out and explore the city, you don't have much time to do it. So I think that's one of the hardships that you have to overcome.
проходил в городе Киев. Мы готовились к этому турниру в течение 2 месяцев. Достаточно плотные тренировки, ну, как бы тяжелый график.
Мы даже не считаем, что мы там лучше кого-то играем. Мы будем играть, просто стараться в свою игру и не думать о том, что мы там что-то выигрывали в прошлый раз, где-то хорошо выступали. Это не важно, потому что сейчас совсем другой турнир, ну и команды совсем по-другому подготавливаются к этому турниру.
A very warm welcome back to the PGL Major Krakow. Day number 2 here of the Swiss group stages. 2 teams are very happy right now. 2 teams have got a lot to worry about after our opening matches. We're going to head into our 3rd match, of course, soon. It's Flipside versus Navi. It's a prospect that I'm really looking forward to seeing how these 2 CIS masters go head-to-head. They've played 42 times before as organisations, so there's plenty of blood behind these 2 and plenty of banter, I'm sure. Before we get to the match, we are going to check in with our panel. And before we get to those, however, there is one member of our panel who's kind of like a floating god. He's got plenty of thoughts. This time, a Natus Vincera.
Natus Vincera, Navi, is a team which on paper looks like a super team of the CIS region. It looks like if you wanted to pick out the most skilled players you could in that region, you'd take these 5 players. And that's why Navi constructed this lineup. Problem is, they have no in-game leading approach that's been successful. They built this exact lineup in an era when the coach could be the in-game leader. And so their coach, Starix, was one of the best in-game leaders in the world. He had a fantastic style that he executed, this slow map control approach to the game. He could tell everyone where they needed to be within the round because he could communicate with them. And so the reason why they brought in Simple as their 5th player to be this superstar, dominant individual player was to add more firepower to that system. The problem is, because of the change in the rules as to what you're allowed to do as a coach, coaching has been severely limited. So no coach can be an in-game leader anymore. So immediately, that system has collapsed entirely. Seized took over as the in-game leader, but he's never been effective on any level as an in-game leader. And he's someone where he really struggled to implement that slow, classic Navi style, and they've had to go away from that approach overall. Then you look at the lineup, and the very fact that they have so many weapons has been a factor that has neutralized the strength of those weapons. They don't have the clear one player who every game will dominate. Simple's an extremely talented player and can be the best player in the server, but they've also got someone who was used to playing that role himself in Guardian. He used to be the AWPer. He would always be set up to get the kills. He'd always be set up to dominate. And the entire style that Zeus and Starix implemented in Navi was around getting Guardian going. But now that style doesn't exist anymore. And Guardian's at sea. He doesn't necessarily know where to go. His ability level is not the same as it was years ago when he could carry the team to major finals and really deserved to be a major champion in the past. Obviously something Navi as a unit has never yet accomplished despite making the final of some majors. And then you look at the lineup and someone like Flamey, he was one of the most explosive, individually scary players in the world if you go to late 2015, early 2016. But that's no longer the Flamey of today, because that style came out of having Starix as his in-game leader, of having Starix as his coach, the player who was integrated by Starix into a classic system that already existed under Zeus. And so without Starix, the pieces in Na'Vi can't operate the same way as they planned to and as they did in the last lineup. Because the Na'Vi of a year and a half ago was one of the most tactically sound teams, was a very consistent team, and lived and died by this grinding offensive style of play. The new Na'Vi doesn't have any of those factors. They have a new coach who's working with them, and he's trying to find, is there a philosophy that fits this team more, that opens them up a little bit? And yeah, they've had some games where the team looked like individually they had more impact and they got to some of the potential that they have as a team. But there's a reason this team hasn't played in the final of a big tournament the entire time of 2017. It has been a year for them that, in terms of the talent level of the team, has been a bust. And they're also a team where at the last major, okay, they made it to the quarterfinals. That looked good. They didn't make it any further. They're a team that's looking at this tournament like making the quarterfinals would be successful, making a Legends spot, getting that qualification. They're not a team where they look like themselves. They think that they can go ahead and win this major. So the star player of Na'Vi is Simple. And this is a player who legitimately might be the most mechanically skilled player to ever play Counter-Strike, because his raw ability, his skill level is absolutely insane. I mean, it's actually quite famous when you watch him play. A lot of the top star players, they have the high skill level and they have the style of play that they're very accustomed with as to how they're going to get their kills. But on top of that, a lot of them have a very good sense for the game. And so you'll see their crosshair placement. It's always very close to the corner. They know the range they want to take a fight in. Simple doesn't even play that way. He plays with his crosshair all over the place. He plays in a very erratic manner, but his sheer skill level means that his hand-eye coordination, his ability to hit extremely precise, difficult, very high skill level shots, it's almost unparalleled in the game. He might be the best shot maker that we have in Counter-Strike at the moment. He's such a talented player, but then he has the classic curse that often comes with people who have a very naturally high skill level, which is that they can't always empathize with their teammate, that their teammate doesn't have that skill level. Their teammate can't do the things that they can do in the game. And so what seems simple to them, a situation they can put themselves in and get out of easily, their teammate might not be able to. So with Simple, the balance, kind of the limiting factor to this incredible talent has always been, how does he play with his teammates? What is his attitude like when he's working with his teammates? And that's been the area that, because the skill element of the game came to him so easily and so young, he's had to learn and develop in terms of how to be a teammate over these last few years. And it's been tough times. There have been many teams he's been in that while he was in the team, they appreciated the talent level and the ability that he brought and the firepower and what he could do for their team. But when he left the team, a lot of people would say, that's one less problem to deal with now. We don't have to now figure out how we're going to get that team to work, guy to work with us in the team, how we're going to manage his attitude. And so one of his struggles in Na'Vi is that as the team has lacked the success that the Na'Vi name is accustomed to, and as he's still trying to find his place among star players like Guardian and Flamey and in a new identity for Na'Vi, he's someone where he's still trying to figure out, how do I be a good teammate but still be driven? How do I unleash all my skills? How do I be that very aggressive player, a player who thinks he's the best and therefore can take any shot and hit it, but at the same time have a break from that when I'm dead or it's halfway through the round, and be able to encourage a teammate or to be able to do something in a round that sacrifices something individually to help that player get going in the game, and now the team is going to win and I can still be one of the best players in the world. And that is really Simple's dilemma, and the day Simple figures that out is probably the day that Simple becomes a major champion. So the longest standing member of Na'Vi historically is Edward, because this is a player who was there in the original Na'Vi back in 1.6 when they won all those majors. They won 4 of them in a row. But the difference between Edward of 1.6 and Edward of CSGO is that in 1.6, Edward was one of the star players. He was a very skilled player. He was famously good with his spray. He was one of the best pistol round players, and he would put up big numbers and do massive damage stats every single game. Now, in CSGO, he's one of those players who hasn't been able to have that individual impact. But rather than, as a result, be just consigned to a side note, a guy who has to play on a lower level team, who's got name value but isn't a star player, he's been able to remodel his game to become more of a supportive player. And famously, he has some of the best stats of any Na'Vi player at the majors. And that's because with this experience, with this understanding of the game that comes from playing more than a decade and playing in numerous different lineups as a star, now as a support player, he's someone who's really consistent in his output. He's someone who doesn't break under pressure, who always makes the veteran play, the savvy play. And he's the guy where I think of him, he's the epitome of the veteran to me. He's the guy where when you put him in a tough situation, he doesn't have the skill level that he can always get out of it. They can always make the best play that's so dominant and high impact. But he's the player who'll always make a smart decision, who'll always make a consistently good play. And that baseline level means that Na'Vi always knows that they have someone in the team who's not going to be up and down, who's not going to be so streaky, who's not going to just play off how their aim is going that day, who's going to be able to play out each situation because he's seen every situation 100 times before. When Flamey came into the Na'Vi lineup a couple of years ago, he was originally the problem child of the team. He was the guy who had high skill level. They needed more firepower to go along with Guardian's AWP, but he was someone where it was very hit and miss. Some games he would be fantastic, some games he would have no impact. And it wasn't about raw aim. In terms of raw skill, he's been one of the most skilled aimers we've had in the game for a long time. It's been about understanding his role within Na'Vi and where he fits within the team and what type of Counter-Strike he's going to play. Because I've always felt like one of the problems Flamey's had as a player is that very high skill level hasn't always been channeled the right way from himself. He hasn't always understood, where am I supposed to be? What speed am I supposed to play the game at? Am I supposed to go in early here? Am I waiting for someone? And so in the past, he could have Zeus or he could have Starix trigger him in the round and set him up and tell him when to go. Now that can't happen in the team. And so now he's someone where he has to figure out his role within the team. And so you look at him as a player, and sometimes when the game's working for him, you think he could do anything in this game. He can just take over this battle. He's such a fearsome player to play against. His aim is so scary. Why isn't this a player who has dominant impact game in and game out? And so I think what you're seeing in this era of Na'Vi is Flamey's development is learning himself how to get his, as it were. Because the difference between a star player, Flamey right now is a star player. He has very high skill level. He'll have a big impact on the game, but it's within the context of what the team lets him do. So the difference between a star player and a superstar player is the superstar player doesn't need someone to tell him where to go, what situations he needs to play from. A superstar player can get his. He can figure out his comfort zone, what the boundaries of his skill level are, and what his effective style of play is. So for Flamey, part of his individual quest is to figure out himself. How does he best use himself? What's a situation where he can succeed individually, and therefore Na'Vi as a team will find a greater level of success? Because as a team, they have this deep lineup of talented players who've all been very good players at different points in time, but as a unit, they're not cohesive. They don't have that one style of play that's effective like the world's best teams have. So the skill level will always give them a puncher's chance. It will always mean they're potentially a dangerous underdog, someone who can upset the top teams. But at the moment, until those 5 players come together and have a team approach that can win, they're not a team that's going to win majors and it's going to be in the final of a major.
Plenty of thoughts from Thorin there, and the chronicles of Thorin will continue throughout the week. Thank you very much to him for his words on Na'Vi. We've also got 2 men on our panel. We've changed things up a little bit, who've also got some words on Na'Vi as well. Yanko and Fifth Lauren are back with us at the desk. Welcome, gents. Good afternoon, I think. Yeah, good afternoon.
All right, that works.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you, Paul?
I know it's kind of like morning or something in your time zone because you're an American now and you have to adjust when you get over to Europe.
It's horrible, Paul.
Is it?
It's horrible.
Is it rough?
Yeah.
Good news, Robin. It's Flipside versus Na'Vi. It's going to be a good game.
Okay. Yeah, you played that really well. I thought you were going to lead to us like, good news, Robin, we have coffee. It's like, yes, let's go.
We do have coffee.
Yeah, okay.
we can bring coffee. It's all good. Let's talk about Na'Vi on the back of what Thorin was discussing. Yanko, what are your thoughts on this team and where they are in 2017? Because last year they looked like a championship-winning team. They got to a couple of major finals, looked the real deal, and then doesn't seem to have worked out so far this year.
I think the one glaring problem was what he mentioned in the video, which is leadership in this team. Not just in-game leadership, that's the main thing, but also having like an actual authority within the team, a leader figure. Because time and time again, you see Na'Vi, obviously there's a lot of skill on that team, even with Guardian slumping and, you know, through the majority of this lineup not being on top of his game. But even with that, there's enough firepower for this team to be a contender for titles, right? But it just seems that in some of the more important games, they would tend to crumble because there isn't enough leadership to kind of guide them through those difficult games and to keep the composure of the team at a high level.
There's a strong rumour doing the rounds, and there has been for a couple of weeks now, that there's going to be a big CIS shuffle after this major, regardless of whatever happens here, which presumably will involve Hellraisers, Gambit, Flipside, Vega, and Na'Vi. Let me just throw something into the mix of both of you, and Robin, you can start with this. Take Blade out of Flipside, put him in Na'Vi.
I wouldn't have Blade as a player.
Russian as well.
Does it fix anything? Is my biggest question, I guess.
So my issue with Na'Vi when Zeus ended up getting kicked or leaving, and then they also got rid of Starix, was that they turned into this. I'm going to compare them to mouse sports a little bit. When they bring in Simple, they kind of turn into the old mouse sports where they rely way too heavily around Simple. And then the other teams or the other players are suffering, right? I mean, if you look at even Guardian's been playing with this team for so long now, and I think that kind of playstyle that Starix and Zeus had really worked in his favor. Whereas for now, their seat sides are great. They have great players. They have really good players that can hold down sites. Guardian is really good in that passive opening role. But then when you switch over to the T side, we saw that yesterday versus G2 as well. It's just not there. If team play is not there, it's just very revolving around getting that entry and trying to execute the sites with that. No proper executes, no proper nade usage whatsoever, and just try and storm the site. And it's not going to work versus good teams.
Okay, and that didn't really answer the question. So should Blade be at Na'Vi?
I said no. I did say no.
Okay, all right,
I said in the beginning. I said not as a player.
All right.
As a coach.
As a coach.
Yes.
All right. Okay, that's interesting because he's knocking on a bit. He's in his 30s now, so.
Yeah, I think we talked about leadership, right? Who are the in-game leaders in the CIS region? You have Blade, you have Angel, and you have Zeus. Zeus has no reason to leave Gambit. They're probably the best team out of the three at the moment, or at least the most consistent one. If anything, he's going to look at some of these players, maybe poach one of them to upgrade his own lineup, right? You look at Blade and Simple have played together before in Flipside a long time ago, and that didn't work out because Blade has this regimented style of in-game leading, very structured, very strict. Simple, of course, needs his freedom and needs to play in a more looser system, and that's where you wonder, okay, what about Angel? He is a guy who also is very aggressive as a player, also prefers the loose playstyle. So in theory, you look at something where Angel is the new in-game leader of Na'Vi, perhaps potentially a team that remains with the core of Flamey Guardian and Simple as the superstar players. Probably even leave Edward in there because why not? Yeah. As Duncan pointed out in the video, experienced, very good performance at majors, and then get Blade as a coach and get the balance in between the looser playstyle. Sure, start off with it, use your individuals, use the firepower, but if that doesn't work out, if the players are not having a good day, okay, then we need to know what's the plan B, the plan C. You have to remember, Blade was the coach for Hellraisers, DreamHack Winter 2014. That's one time where they actually beat Fnatic in the group stages and managed to make the playoffs. Sinful was on that team as well as Angel. So that's an interesting dynamic you had in the past that potentially could happen again. Obviously, Blade wants to keep on playing, as for now, as far as we know.
He's going to make a great coach one day, isn't he, for sure?
I'm telling you this. You get Mir or Electronic into Gambit, for Dosha, presumably. Right. That team is insane.
Speculation. I love it. We're going to speculate a little bit more in just a moment, but first, let's go back to Thorin and get his thoughts on the other team in this CIS derby. It is Flipside.
Flipside is a squad that is actually primarily famous purely for qualifying for majors. They're not actually a team that has, in general, made much of an impact on the final placings of majors. We've never seen them in a top 4 position or a team that anyone expected to be able to win them. But the very notion that they've been able to qualify for all these majors is what has been so astounding, because within the CIS region that they come from, they have never been considered the #1 team. They have always been the team behind, whether it was Virtus Pro in the past, whether it's Hellraisers, whether it's Gambit, whether obviously Na'Vi in the last couple of years. They've always been the team that doesn't have all the stars, that has people who come up who are rising talents, and then eventually they leave Flipside and they go somewhere else. Bondic leaves to Hellraisers. You have Simple go on to play in Na'Vi, another team, Liquid, etc. You have all these talents come up, Flamey, etc. You're not able to keep them in this squad. So the idea that with whatever they've got to work with, again and again, they're able to at least qualify for the majors has been a big accomplishment and a truly impressive kind of hallmark of a team that has a good tactical basis, because the core name within Flipside the entire time has been Blade, and he is a legendary leader from the CIS region. If you go back 10 years, in 2007, he took a team called Amazing Gaming from Ukraine to the first ever medal finish for a Ukrainian team in the history of Counter-Strike. They finished in the bronze medal position at World Cyber Games 2007 in what at the time was a huge upset run. And what he's established throughout his career, his legacy, has been being that prototypical, standard textbook in-game leader who runs a tactic. He has set roles for people. They have set smokes and flashes that go off at certain times. He studies the opponent's demos to look for their weaknesses. He builds anti-strats, which work specifically to counter what the opponent does well. And the idea within Flipside is we win by executing. We read the game and we execute. We're never going to have all the best players in our team. That will never be the remit for a team like Flipside, as it is for a Na'Vi or in the past teams like Hellraisers. So they have to do it with their brain, and the brain of the team is Blade. Now, within that team, what's allowed them possibly to have maybe their best ever lineup actually at a major is discovering the player Electronic, because this Russian player has been a revelation in his short career within Flipside. He's been a very high-level fragger. He looks like the kind of explosive talent who's able to get multiple kills every round that normally we would expect to see playing in a Na'Vi, in a Hellraisers, in some of those bigger name teams. But at the moment, Flipside has him. And the key is, in the past, Flipside had talent, like Bondik was a talent, not on the level of Electronic and skill level though. They had Simple, one of the best players of all time already, but Simple couldn't participate in the ESL majors, so he wasn't playing for Flipside at those majors. So this is one of the first times they're going to a major with some young firepower, with a tactical team, and as such, in theory, with a chance to do something beyond just be a fluke. When they had that top 8 at ESL 1 Cologne 2016, a big part of that result was NIP's failure in that deciding match, which allowed Flipside to win out. Flipside had players who had games of their lifetime, above and beyond what you'd normally expect from them. So you couldn't really look at that and say they're going to make impact on the playoffs, they're going to go deep. This is a team now where, sure, you still wouldn't anticipate them to be one of the best teams. You wouldn't expect them to have a big finish, but we know they have some firepower. Electronic can do a lot for them. We know Blade is a fantastic in-game leader. He will study the opponents. He'll come up with game plans. And so even though they've been also-rans in so many majors, this might be the major where they're the team that's the dangerous upset team for other teams, where maybe they're not going to do a deep finish themselves, but they can prevent someone else from doing a deep finish. So the most famous player in Flipside is Markelov. And he is a player who has gone through a radical transformation in his career. In Counter-Strike 1.6, he was one of the most skilled players in the world, and he was one of the most dominant star players. In fact, he was famous for when it became the big game, the semi-final or the final of a major, he would always take over and he would be the MVP and his teams would win the major, or they'd have a very big performance in those big matches. Now, in CSGO, early on, he was taking up that role within Na'Vi still. But ever since he left Na'Vi, when he went to Astana Dragons, then Hellraisers, and then later on over to Flipside, he's gradually developed more and more into this supportive role. And he even describes himself now as a support player. And so even though in 1.6, he is one of the most famously dominant AWP players of all time, he barely ever uses the AWP in Flipside. It's World Edit who uses the AWP. Instead, he is a support player, he is a rifle player, and he's someone who's going to play supportive roles. He's going to anchor a bomb site, he's going to try and stay alive as long as possible, he's going to use utility to delay the opponent, he's going to communicate well with his team, he's going to play a small role within the tactic, and he's not going to be the star player, but he's going to be a good support player, and he's going to be part of the backbone of the team. Markelov and Blade, the combination of how they play the supportive elements of the team, have been what's made Flipside a good tactical team, because they know that those elements are very experienced and will get the job done each time. Then it's on the World Edits and the Electronics of the world to have the firepower to take Flipside over the line. So the problem child of Flipside has always been World Edit, because he is a player who, as an AWPer, has talent, clearly, and he has big games where he looks like a potential star. But he has, throughout his career, underwhelmed when it got to the majors, underwhelmed when it was the big game, playing against the big level opposition where you can prove yourself as one of the best players. Put him against the lower level opponents, put him in the smaller tournaments, he shines, he's one of the key pieces within their the constellation of Flipside. But in those big matches, that's where he's still waiting to make that jump up. People are waiting to see, is he ready to become a true star player, have his impact on Flipside? Because then you pair a World Edit who's playing at the peak of his capacity with Electronics' rising talents, and now Flipside wouldn't just be a tactically dangerous team, they'd be a team with legitimate firepower.
More thoughts from Thorin there, this time, of course, on the flip side and the leadership of Blade. We know it well, gents, don't we? We know how regimented he is and organised he is, and we've also, there's a flip side to that, pun intended, that doesn't always work with every player. We've seen Simple move away from that and then come back to the region afterwards and be potentially a better player, certainly showing us what he can do. And I guess, Janko, I think you used the word stifled when he played with Blade, in the sense that he just felt like, just can't go and do what I need to do.
Yeah, I mean, Robin can attest to this more than I can because of how NIP played while he was still on the team, right? It sucks to have to play under such a regimented system. It's way more fun to just play loose and do whatever you want. But I really do feel that the style that Blade runs for weaker teams, in which he has been in, is the way for you to break into the top 10 or something like that, because you don't have, as Duncan said, you don't have the stars of your region to play for your team. You need to make do with lesser talent, so that's a way for you to give an edge to your team.
Yeah, you played obviously with NIP in the early days. I remember that first 9-10 months of it. Everyone was saying, what's the meta? We don't really understand. Existence was going for this very strat-heavy calling style. You guys, I remember, you famously said to me, we just run around, shoot stuff.
I was actually going to use...
So it's very loose, wasn't it?
I was going to use VEGA games as a really good example, and even during that prime back then, because Existence style in Source was very methodical, very strat-heavy. And when they made VEGA games in CSGO, when you bring in this powerful, the next superstar operating Kenny S, right, and you put him in a situation where it's like, I have to follow every single command, he was not good, right? He did not really play that well, and then they ended up switching when they realized they can't beat the current NIP roster. They can't beat us. So then he started becoming a little bit more loose, giving more a little bit more flexibility within the team. You see Shocks has the same tendency now, kind of loose start calling, just really playing to your players, right? In NIP, in the beginning, my source background as well as an in-game leader was a little bit strat heavy, not to the point where it's Existence kind, but nowhere near as loose as Exist. Exist is just like default. It didn't work.
Hold on, let me guess. Round 3 was default.
Yeah, and then but it was a very
almost
simple,
as diverse as his vetoing.
Yeah, I mean, but it was a very simple mechanic, right? The way that, because at this point in time, everyone knows everything. Everyone knows every single anti-flash, every smoke, how to counter it. Back then, it was a little bit of a gamble, right? You would throw a flash and hope that it worked. And then you would look into the sometimes and be like, does that work? Did you flash you? Partially. It's like, works for me. All right, let's go. You get the entry, you hope for the rotation, right? And you execute on a site. It's a very simple style of playing. But sooner or later, that's not going to work, right? You have to add in a little bit, like a deeper element to your game. You can run the defaults in the beginning. You can play to your strengths of your players. But then once you get an entry, what do? Then you have to have proper executes now.
Okay, so we've talked about the different styles of both teams, both in-game leaders, and the way that they've progressed over the last 12 months. How do they match up against each other, Janko? How does it work out in the end? Is it the strat-heavy, less firepower-friendly flip side that come out on top against Na'Vi, who've got the firepower and the World Championship standard players, but they may lack a little bit in terms of strategy?
And that's the thing, like, Flipside has less ways to win the game, right? Na'Vi can win the game by having Simple and Guardian having a good game. And that's it, being aggressive, shutting down Flipside within their defaults, right? But that works both ways. If Flipside can make use of their system in a sense that they kind of negate the impact of Guardian, Simple, or Flamey, with like using a lot of utility, a lot of smokes, flashes, making them play from awkward position, not giving them clean aim duels. That's where things might get a little bit frustrating for Na'Vi. And that's also when you look at, when we get to the map veto and the map pool, that's where Flipside is and should be looking towards more, tactical maps, the likes of Nuke, the likes of Overpass, where you can't really just play it super loose and go for contacts, while Na'Vi on the other side of things would probably be happy with something like an Inferno.
Okay. When we talk about the stars, obviously we pick out those 3 cores of Simple, Flamey, and Guardian on Na'Vi. Is it fair, Robin, to say that Flipside have got their own stars, potential stars in matches? World Edit can go ham.
They have a star.
Markloff has gone big, and Electronic has been really good since joining.
He's been incredible. I mean, that pickup from Flipside, I think, is the best one they could have made. Just an up-and-comer, just really good. He reminds me a little bit of when Stu2K came up to Cloud9.
Right.
Just a young player, plays a lot of Counter-Strike, just brute force aim, and just can win you all these nearly impossible situations.
And we've been talking about this with Chad as well in the green room. Electronic and Stewie, the same, are like the pure CSGO players.
Yeah.
Right? They haven't played Source or 1.6. They're just, started playing this game, and that's the only game they've played in the Counter-Strike franchise.
Not been tainted.
Yeah, so they are like the mechanics, they get used to them from the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing, this is how it was in 1.6. It's not like this anymore in CSGO, right? So pure CSGO players, and I believe he's the sole star of the team, actually, for Flipside. World Edit, too inconsistent to be called a star. You never know if you can rely on him or not. Veilander as well, I feel like he's too emotional. Like, he doesn't have the composure necessary in these games to maintain like a high level of play throughout.
I'm just going to warn you before you mention the next name. Be careful.
Markelov is not being put in a position where he can really deliver
Good answer,
consistently.
Yanko. Good answer.
He took a step back for the team, but okay, we have the vetoes
we
coming
do have
in.
the vetoes
and this
coming
is
in.
where Navi has an advantage. These teams don't play like similar maps, right? Both teams don't play cash, and we see Navi was actually the one
They
who
banned the same maps yesterday, both of them.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Flipside doesn't play Cobble, but that's not a map that Navi would want to play in general. It hasn't been as good for them recently. Flipside banning Mirage themselves, which is interesting considering Navi has 1-5 record recently on the map, and Navi themselves vetoing Inferno. So that leaves us with Overpass, Train, and Nuke.
So I actually had Train or Overpass being picked here.
Yeah, I think Flipside should veto Train.
Okay, so Navi take out Nuke.
Yeah, I think they should go for Overpass. Simply because we've seen Flipside.
They go for Train.
They go for Train. I think because we've seen Flipside on Overpass at the major qualifier, right, against Hellraisers, and we saw how good they can be once they prepare for something. Like the counter flashes, the mid-round aggression from Flipside was very much on point. And Navi has been shaky lately on the map, and especially after looking at yesterday's game, it's not that difficult to see the way Navi likes to play on both sides of the map, and wouldn't be that difficult to prepare for them. Train, on the other side of things, is, in my opinion, Navi's best map since they added Simple into the roster. Not just statistically, but also, in the opposition that they did beat on the map. I believe that's where they're most comfortable at. So not really sure about this one for Flipside. Obviously, they will have done their homework, but I would have preferred Overpass here.
Okay. Homework's a good point as well, Robin. They knew who they were going to play in the opening game for the last 2 weeks. So Blade presumably then pours over demo after demo after demo, comes up with anti-strats, comes up with strats, comes up with positions. He's got 2 weeks to do that, right? He's had 1 day to come up with something now. I'm sure he'll have pre-prepared something that he's seen for Navi already, but how big an impact is that going to be on a very heavy strat guy?
I think since they've had so much time to just go through and break down every single map they decide to play on during this major and have the heavy executes, I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue. I mean, you saw yesterday versus Fnatic, we didn't see the regular Blade the first 7 rounds, right? We saw a lot of aggression on their T side, a lot of rushes, just 5-stack man B and just push it, right? Fnatic was not prepared for it. I think coming into this Navi game, especially knowing that their CT sides tend to be really good because they're individual players, I think we have to rely on the strategic value here from Flipside. A lot of executes, just make sure you block off the Navi star players in Simple. Especially on a map like Train, you want to make sure that Guardian is not getting easy picks. And this one, the Blade that we know, the mastermind is going to come in play. I think definitely Flipside, if they were to win this game, they need to win it on their T side.
All right, okay, I'm going to get more thoughts from both of you at the end of this matchup, but we are hearing that the players are ready in the area. So let's head over to our commentary team for their 3rd and final game of the day. It's the CIS Derby, Flipside versus Navi.
Thank you very much, Paul. Yeah, CIS Clash, if you will. It's an interesting one in that Navi, another team that cannot afford to go 0-2. And I will say it straight up, I think my most favorite team to cast is Navi when they're playing well because they're just so exciting, unpredictable, loose lately. But even then, they used to have that fallback to tactics. They don't have that anymore, and it's really haunting them.
It feels like a while since they've been dominant, right? They've had those real great streaks at events. They're getting deep into playoffs. It feels like they're dropping off consistently now. this tournament not looking amazing so far, but it's not the end of the road by any stretch of imagination. Going into against Flipside as well, a bit of a derby, like you said, and we'll see whether they can step up here. I like the fact it's train. I think that's quite exciting, the prospect. We've got Flipside, as Robin described. I think they've got options here. The fact they can do their full executions. It's one of those maps that lends itself to these sort of teams, very slow-paced. That's going to be exciting as well. Na'Vi could get frustrated by that. The likes of Simple as well, overextending and waiting for the mistakes to be made by the Na'Vi side. Flipside could cause a dent here. That's actually quite an interesting prospect, I think. Blade will be aware, and he'll know these players inside out as well. So I think we'll have a decent game here. Na'Vi obviously the favourites by quite some stretch in terms of skill ceiling, and as the guys described as well, Flipside only really have maybe one or two guys on this team that can really cause massive disruption, like maybe Electronic could step up, World Edit, although he's quite sketchy at times, can be a very good AWPer, could go toe-to-toe with Guardian. We'll find out. Map will be train. But, yeah, you'd expect Na'Vi to presumably take this one as we get into another 0-1 game here.
Yeah, it's Swiss system. I mean, okay, it's tough to read day one, but again, just the level of competition as of right now. You'd think that it gets lethal pretty quickly, and I will say that's true, obviously. FaZe now 0-2 is incredible, but imagine they had to play Na'Vi in the 0-2 lineup. I mean, someone's getting heartbroken early. One of the legendary teams is going home, and Na'Vi, the last of the great teams to win a major, if you want to look at it that way. FaZe would be perhaps the next great team challenging to do so, or the new G2, but the French Skies have obviously had victories in the past. It's a scary thought, especially, like I said, with teams like Big, Penta looking really hot, really on form, well prepared for the event more than anything. And Na'Vi, I mean, something's got to give.
You'd think so. This would be a good test. So I think the map's looking good for them. They're comfortable on train, and they should be able to take this one. It'd be a huge blunder for them, and maybe a sign that things have to change at this point if they crash out of another event like this.
They did talk about that on the desk. The rumor that potentially is going around right now saying that there will be a shuffle in the CIS region. It's hard to think that there wouldn't be. There's a ton of talent there. If they get the right lineups, there's a chance.
Look at VEGA Squadron, for example, right? They look phenomenal, some of their key players.
JR's been great.
Yeah, Mia as well. I think he's really good, and hopefully we'll see some of those guys get an opportunity. Obviously, they've made it to a major. I don't think they'll be thinking about that just yet, but obviously a massive opportunity to get towards an organization like Na'Vi and have the chance to make that sort of money and play at these sort of events and have experienced players around them. I think that'd be fantastic for some of the talent that's available for them. But it looks like we are just getting into this one. It looks like one Na'Vi player is just missing. They will be starting on the CT side, just to note as well, so a more comfortable start for the favoured team. But that hasn't really been the case recently on train. Like I normally say, it's probably one of those CT side maps we have in the pool right now, but it really depends on the matchup and the play styles. Like we saw the previous game, Mouse Sports and FaZe go to overtime after losing the CT half. That was FaZe, of course, and they still pulled it back, lost in overtime, but didn't seem to be the case. It seems like whatever the scoreline, you can always come back, regardless of the situation. Simple looking quite jovial there. Obviously a very emotional player. We've all seen his reaction gifts as of late and how invested he is into this game and wants to get deep into a tournament. We haven't really seen that much success from them since that ESL New York event.
It's absolutely true.
Yeah.
That was the big win. Guardian, emotionally, in tears on the stage, hugging the trophy after a 2-1 against against VP.
Yeah.
Both those teams, to be fair, but had their fair share of struggles. VP obviously carried on some more success since that time, but Na'Vi certainly has not. On the other side of the server, Blade, renowned for his game leading. Yanko brought up a good point. I actually forgot that he was the coach of Hellraisers that event. I mean, obviously I knew. I just hadn't thought of it and hadn't been aware of it in my mind that, that was actually the fact. He was coaching and then came back to a playing role, and that was sort of when people gave him all of the I guess, pedigree behind his coaching brilliance and in-game leading brilliance. I will say that I agree that I think he's a little bit too regimented. You mentioned it not too long ago. The last time we saw World Edit go off was at the WSG qualifier, the European qualifier, which was in Kiev, and he dropped like 31 kills or something in the game against, I think, the Russian team. No, it would have been Russia versus Virtus Pro when they beat them, when the Russian mixed team beat them to go into the final. And he looked incredible. And we said, after the game, what's the difference? And he said, no Blade.
Yeah, he said he had the freedom, right? I don't think he's necessarily saying Blade is a bad in-game leader. I think he's obviously quite celebrated of how good he can be in that respect. But to get the most out of players like World Edit, crazy aimers who want to take duels with the AWP and actually get things opened up, to have that sort of freedom, I think that's how you do get the most out of them. So maybe he's not being utilized correctly. He seems to be a lot happier at that event. And you can see he does drop off significantly sometimes with this flip side lineup. Sometimes he has some great games, sure, but most of the time I'd say pretty average. And you know he has the potential to be great. But up against this man on your screen right now, Guardian. Another inconsistent player, I would say, as of late. Showing signs of kind of returning to form at some events, but hasn't really impressed me as of yet. We'll see what happens at this one, at the Major, of course. It's the one that really counts. We'll get into this, ladies and gentlemen. Nartis Pensia versus Flipside Tactics here. T-side start for Flipside. I've looked at that buy. Alma coming in, of course, and we're seeing a bit of utility purchase. Warded it with the smoke, 2 flashbangs, Blade with a Molotov. That's usually used in the post-plant situations, so it suggests you ever go to inside, use a Molotov at the very start towards connector, or use it for the post-plant situation. So inside, 3 players do go. Bomb there as well. Could be another fast outside split, considering you have 2 players towards Ivy as well. The bomb goes back to join them, interesting enough. So it's going to be quite a technical play. Have a look as it develops.
CT's already pushing brown holes with C's below the ladder, so even if he funnels them down, he's in position to strike when they do. First shot goes to Electronic, though. That will stop all of the push. Very slow. If Na'Vi brings tactics, this could be one of the slowest games. I think Flipside is the slowest team right now, hands down.
Sure. Well, so far, the patience is paying off for them. Waiting above the pop dog. 2 Na'Vi players offer themselves up and get their heads blown off by Electronic. Guardian under 15 HP as well. Surely. Flipside take up this pistol now. CT's rotating towards inner. That's the correct call, considering the bomb's position right now. But Simple still could cause some damage here. Maybe not anymore.
Simple only gets 1. Electronic pulls it back for what now becomes, I believe, his 3rd in the round before going down to Seized. Was indeed. Guardian 15, last alive for Na'Vi. Blade takes out Seized before he could do any further damage. Good luck, Guardian. P2000, he's one of the players that still elects to use it. He's going to climb up silently and see if he can get closer. No kit spotted. Good headshot. 1 versus 2. He's got very little time to work with, though, without the kit. Molotov's going to land on top of the bomb. That is the end of the round. But if he can get kills, he can get to his AWP sooner, so that's what he'll try and do instead. Flash actually hits him, so they'll know he's close. Get ready for him around the corner. And it's Markolov that picks up the kill.
Nice work by Flipside, as you said. One of the most patient and disciplined teams. Slowest, potentially, in CSGO. Holding up in the default, and Na'Vi just giving away 2 frags. Went for the inside push. I think they had 3 players towards inner at the very start. Flamey taken down to begin, and then Edward joining him in the grave nice and early. That will be the first 2 frags for Electronic, and ultimately the round in favour of Flipside. It's going to be 1-0 now. Round number 2, no force buy from Na'Vi at all. Just upgraded pistols. We're seeing this more and more. I think I've been saying it for the last year and a half. This should be the way the game should be played, and now it seems to be finally coming into effect. Just Eagles, 5-7 to the CZ. What Flipside will bring to the table, presumably something very slow and methodical. No rushes from them. Getting control of the inside area, only C's there waiting for them. He's got the CZ and actually committing down the lower round. Faster than I expected, and C's will take that first frag though. Quick refrag there coming in from Electronic, that's what you want to see. The buddy system utilised, the bomb should be planted now.
And it will be. Guardian. Let's get back in. Does get a shot from Simple onto Markolov. Guardian's tagged in the process, and they'll back off with the weapons to hold the high ground despite being down a man. Leave World Edit to do the cleanup with the AK-47. That means Blade on the ramp as the other SMG that was brought into the round. He'll have to be quick with it. Pistols are finding frags. World Edit down to Edward. SMG's got to go aggressive. The range won't necessarily be there, but Blade, he still finds 2 with the help of Electronic on the second on Flamey. So Guardian backs away, and the round will go the way of Flipside. Costly round at that, however. Might be more costly. Try to get the AK. He's going to get down with the bomb blade, surely. Might just get away. Just barely does on time.
He does indeed. Wow. There we go. Na'Vi looking like a promising round for them, managing to get 3 kills there. Very dicey situation for Flipside after committing towards the inside ramp. Sees finds the first frag of the TZ and then a few more from his teammates as they rotate in, but wasn't meant to be. Blade doing a good job from the upper ramp, and the Molotov secures the round victory for Flipside there. We're going to round 3, another eco for Na'Vi. Some upgraded pistols still, but MAC-10s. 2 of those for Flipside, and Waylander with the P250. A couple of AKs to work with as well. Another default. But faster round than I've used to seeing Flipside in the previous. can see how it got a little bit scary for them, but still managed to survive. Looking for the 3-0 now. Should quite comfortably pick it up.
Smoke to the left. Push to the right. Straight into the A site. 4 players near the bomb train. Or near enough. Safe side of it. CT side. Edward's the only one to peek over top. Flamey goes a little further out by the E-box. Waylander for company. Guardian already tagged. Making a bit of an error, though. They're not quick to capitalize on territory, and they get caught in the middle. Edward gets only 1 kill, however. And then it all follows into place for Flipside. You're right, they will go 3-0, and we get the guns out for Na'Vi.
2 MAC-10s up. Presumably they get thrown away. There is a chance they could keep on to it, but the fact that Na'Vi didn't force buy in that second round, since I would suggest you'd probably just get rid of them, and indeed one of them goes. World Edit, he drops an AK and actually upgrades to an AWP himself. So there it is. The MAC-10s have been thrown away. Electronic presumably got something on the floor to work of their Glock in hand at the moment. I think I can see a little rifle there as we zoom out. There it is. So a nice full buy. They are upgrading across the board. That's the right call to make. There are 2 players on Na'Vi who had armor, of course Flamey and Guardian, but I think this is the right call for Flipside to spend the extra money and a faster round coming in now. We're not used to seeing this for Flipside. Electronic's right out there towards Olaf, and Simple will be waiting on the other side of that smoke. So trying to make something happen here. The young star for the team, Electronic, trying to open things up.
Good position to be in with World Edit watching down toward Hell. World Edit as well. Similar boost to Oscar, but aim not there. Didn't watch the ladder with it when he should have been. Opportunity missed. Information gathered for perhaps Electronic to take advantage of.
Yeah, he's just lying in wait right now. Decent position. Open for a mistake to be made. His teammates now exploring towards Ivy, of course. Well done at there with the AWP. It'll be interesting to see if he can step up, but that's a decent smoke deployed by the CT side. Simple throws that. Buys some time towards that particular area. Guardian now. AWP, of course. Rotating around, trying to find his first pick and making a lot of noise with the scope. Electronic could outplay him here with the timings. They still don't know that he's waiting in that position now. He's been there for so long.
He's been there forever. This is it. I mean, you said, oh, change of pace.
Yeah.
Flipside, gonna get it fast. Well, not really.
Well, now he's in great position to do go in her. He can go for the backstab here, right? That'd be quite nice. Go for rotations, cool. Family actually take the bait here. Bomb's not going towards inner. This is not a full commitment. You can see Electronic sneaking past just they show presence towards outside. This is really good from Electronic. I'm loving this.
Edward, good shot on Blade. Electronic finally takes position. He gets Edward down, but he's the only one to get a kill thus far for Flipside. And with 3 seconds, that's how it should end. World Edit needs to be very careful not to go down. And there is a player above him, 15 HP. If they drop at the ladder, he's ready, but he'll have to hit the shot. And they spray in, thankfully don't pursue. He will keep the AWP carried over.
Yeah, and true Flipside fashion, they do indeed time the round out with 2 players surviving as well. A little bit too complicated, I think. Sure, Electronics in a great position for so long, but didn't find anything with it. I feel like they were double faking there and trying to show presence towards inside, back towards outer, then see to change their mind once again. Electronic gets 1 kill, but it's already too late. Edward had already started causing damage, and Guardian rotates in, and his position was thwarted at that point. We go to round number 5 now. Now to pick up their first gun round, and to keep 4 players alive as well. Good money available for the T side, all powerful World Edit once again, of course, and he'll be going towards the Ivy position. Another default round. Expect lots of these. Slow-paced Counter-Strike where they try and open things up, get players in decent positions, and then execute around them. First shot missed there by Guardian, this time at Ivy himself. Backed up by Simple. He's on the other side of the M4A4. Using the smoke once again. Just to buy himself some more time. Some speculative shots there. For anyone jumping across or boosting up behind the server. Can't see Waylander with inside control. At least the Brown Halls right now. Gives them options at least. So this is decent. They still have 3, making 4 smokes remaining. Markelov alone towards Ivy. So it's similar to what we saw from FaZe earlier. Carrigan was in this position, now it's Markelov. Trying to show presence, keep the CTs on this side of the map. His teammates ready to go towards inner. Markelov might go for the backstab formation when he waits for his teammates to fully commit, then he tries to stop the rotations or show presence himself. Looks like it's the former as he starts to fall back. Smoke starting to be deployed now towards inner. Flashbang over momentarily. It's a good smoke, they might just push through it.
Shot Flamey pushing through it.
Perfect.
Yeah, not exactly what they should have done. Flamey was more than ready to take them down. Blade rotates back immediately. They'll look elsewhere with a flash down pop dog. No one at the bottom of it, so he gets in, but then decides otherwise. 23 seconds. We'll give you the whole round, but flip side, they only want the last 10. Time and time again, Markelov getting seized. Flamey in position, no round here either, or is there 5 seconds? Has to play it, he stays for the fight, Markelov, he's too late. He's too late. This has to stop. I'm sorry, flip side, but you've got to start speeding it up because it's almost getting to the point of, I mean, boredom at this point. Like, they're just sitting back and waiting and waiting and waiting, and we saw this in the qualifier as well. There was 4 or 5 rounds in particular that they didn't get plants down.
Yeah, 2 in a row, big rounds as well, gun rounds. I'm just looking at the scoreboard right now. Look if you had like both little stopwatches there, they timed out. It's difficult to keep saying that. Yes, they're a slow-paced team, but to be fair, they got a bit unlucky here. I don't think this was the right call, pushing through that smoke. It was such a purpley thrown smoke as well, and the fact Flamey nails that first shot, isolates a second with the aforementioned smoke. The teammates can't come through. Might have wanted to buy their time a little bit more there, but they do save the AWP, of course. So going to round number 6, 3 plays 2 in favour of Flipside, but Na'Vi with 2 rounds in a row. Bomb still down the T-spawn. This will be another very slow play map. It's going to be just them trying to open things up. It's Markelov with the AWP, so 1.6 fans, get your hands in the air. Guardian takes down Blade to open things up. Default pistol. This is a round where Na'Vi will surely win, but Markelov could cause a dent. You never know. As he goes towards Ivy, trying to find the next opening here. I don't think much will come of it, but he'll give it a good shot. Now that Na'Vi have ascertained that it is going to be indeed an eco. Just holding up. Crossfires established. You know they don't really have the grenades to challenge you. Smoke towards the left-hand side of Ivy. That'll be thrown by Markelov. Now his teammates do potentially run towards the bomb site. Boosted up behind the server now.
Boosted indeed, but a deeper smoke than directly in front of it means he won't be able to spot all the way over it toward where Simple's playing, and even if he did, second smoke down means Simple has cover. Flashman from the CT, Simple won't peek on it, Flamey. He's got to have the accuracy. Second one's a little better. Edward and Simple stepping up as Simple to kill out, but Markelov on an AWP.
Yeah.
Paul said to be careful what you say because maybe he's misused, as I think Yanko put it. Down to 10 HP. 3 quick kills, though, gives him a slight chance. 20 seconds to work with. Oh, my... Oh! What? How did that not land?
You can see him saying it. It was like, why is that not a kill?
He glitched in. I don't know what happened because it froze the model as well. Edward tagged up and round gone. That's a frustration. Surely we've got to get a replay because that looked like dead on.
Yeah, to me it did. That could have been the opening as well. You could see he had awareness as to where the 5th player could be. There it is. Na'Vi do tie things up at 3-3. 3 rounds in a row after losing the pistol. Markelov fancied his chances, I think, as he was in the, I think, 5 versus 1 situation. Gets 3 kills, can't find the 4th, legs that 5th player. And he has that 4th shot. Maybe he had a real chance to actually win that. Let's have a look. So there's the little burst fire shot, and then out comes the AWP, lines it up. We might not quite grab this replay, I'm not sure.
Hopefully we can get to it because it looked like, okay, here it is. Oh, he just stopped.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go.
Such a bizarre-looking animation with the X-ray on. Waylander. Oh, mistimes it. Does he not spot him? Seized. Nearly overlooked it. Does get the shot in the end. So 1-0 in the round in a 3-3 game. It's a 5-4 situation for Na'Vi to work with. All of the numbers.
All of them. Wow. 5 and 4 to add a few more in there. Waylander goes down at the start. It was seized to pick him up. Nice little play towards the inside area. Job done as far as they're concerned. Got the man advantage. We have got Edward, who's pushing towards main entrance there. Decides to fall back. Deploys the smoke. Oh, that's a smart smoke, right? He's just suggesting no one's here. We're smoking you out, buying ourselves some time. That could be a really interesting idea. It doesn't look like Warden has taken the bait just yet. Edward's hoping he does. If this works out for him, it would have been a godlike play. Unfortunately, Walder 1 step ahead. So his Guardian, though, over the smoke, takes an electronic. Flamey chiming in as well. 4-on-2 situation. Walder that's down to 28 points of health. It's Simple looking to find his teammate. Markelov flashed off. Could be taken down at this point. Easy frag for Simple. Easy round as well. Walder above the pop dog. 30 seconds remaining. Has got the bomb, but will meet his maker here in the form of Flamey. 4-3. And it will be indeed Na'Vi taking the lead now. So an interesting idea there from Edwards. Obviously the idea is he drops that right click that smoke just to say, I've fallen back, I want to smoke you out. While it takes him down, that's the only frag they really get after winning the pistol. That's going to be 4 rounds in a row for Na'Vi. Pistols only for flip side. They'll have maximum stage loss bonus next round, so they can afford to bring some armor as well. They've only got the pistols so far, no nades. They can definitely bring some smoke grenades if they want to. considering they get $3,400 per player. They want all the money, it seems. They're going to have too much, if anything, next round. I would say get some smokes out, get a bomb plant down in this round itself. But either way, number 8, Eagles, PG50s, and their Tech 9 trying to trade towards it up. There's still a chance to get the bomb down. Edward with the MP9 towards Pop Dog, and Seized and Flamey holding it up.
Seized will hold directly in front of the smoke as well. Markelov inside of it. Nade bounces well beyond him. Oh, through the edge of the wooden window. Seized gets dinked on a random shot. Clearly they know the lineup or thereabout because it hits, it lands. The next one's will not. He backs off. World Edit though. Or, excuse me, Waylander in the sight. Seized and Guardian. Kills. And speaking of World Edit, he goes down to Simple, who, well, they were all busy being held stationary. He walks in behind. So 5-3 Na'Vi. Flip side, go back to guns.
Well, God is joining us. This is the 0-1 game between Flipside Tactics and Na'Vi Vincere. Now it's Na'Vi losing against G2 on Overpass, which looks like a lock-in game for them. Flipside losing against Fnatic, who actually looks very good, I have to say. Guardian there with the shot towards the upper platform. That's actually kind of sick. He pulled that one off. I like that. And we go into round number 9. Another gun round, maximum loss bonus, 5 rounds in a row for Flipside. All the money in the world. Too much, like I said, about $1,000 residual. Could have brought some smokes in the previous round and maybe got a bomb down, but hey ho. First shot once again from Seas. He seems to be having a lot of fun in this inside area. Electronic taking down once again. Not boosted this time. Manages to get him just through the smoke there. 5-on-4 once again. That's happening way too often. For a very slow, methodical team, they're giving up too much space.
Guardian takes down World Edit and goes back for more, but Markelov at the ready with the AK, and his first chance every time when World Edit goes down, he grabs the AWP. I think there's still an op player existing somewhere within his spirit. May not be the primary, but it'll happily be the secondary. Push through. Oh, Markelov's got to be careful. Looked like Simple was going to go the whole way. Mosh does go through the smoke, but he's not anywhere near the outside of Ivy at this point as Markelov falls away to go toward the bomb, which is dropped, as you see it, at the bottom of the stairs.
Still a chance for this round. 45 seconds. We have seen Flipside time a few of these rounds out. Haven't really got much to work with just yet, and they are a man down. Still with 3 smokes, 3 Molotovs as well. Towards inner they go. Who's waiting for on the other side? It's Seas, and he's been a bit of a nuisance, I have to say. As he holds the upper ramp, it's a decent position. We see a lot of players holding this right now. Not committing towards the upper ramp, just watching for players to drop down. Try and deny the plant best he can. Here come the smokes, and deploys the incendiary as well. That's really nice. This buys his teammates some time to rotate in. Denies the plant going in as well. It's really cool from him.
Molotov mid-train, Molotov default spot. Buys all kinds of time as Seized gets closer, but Blade gets the shot. Good return from Flamey. Bomb will get planted. Fire and Flames gone. But not this particular flame. The candle's extinguished. He's just a mere flicker to Waylander. It's down to 2 versus 2.
Here we go then. The retake begins. Kit's available, but Waylander causing more damage here. 2 frags in total now. Up to Edward. Not really much to work with here. He's got a smoke grenade and 2 players to find. I would say this round was guaranteed for Flipside at this point. Nowhere near the bomb. Needs to touch it and find out where, at least where one terrorist is. Markelov now up towards the upper ramp. It looks like it's done. Maybe a full defuse at this point.
Marky Mark says no to that as well. 2 kills for him in the round. Back within 1 are Flipside. First in 5, however. And Markelov was the only one to survive, so this will be a reset. Na'Vi, on the other hand, despite just losing their first after those 5 rounds, are in their last buy position, so it's been relatively close and even. Yeah. Again, 2 timeouts to start that string off.
Well, it's still got the double orbs and a full buy, right? So it's still fine with the double orbs, especially. Like, that's the adjustment coming in now. Seized, who used to be the secondary orb for Na'Vi, like full time. And obviously, when Simple came in, he took over that role. And it seems like they might be adjusting. I guess Seized dropping another one-way smoke there. It seemed that's actually quite a cool idea. I like that a lot. Buys himself a bit of a time, I guess, to fall back and take a cleaner shot. And you can see he can retreat quite cleanly there as well. Of course, his teammates are rotating. It'll be Flamey. They are adjusting the roles within this team. Trying to get back to their former glory.
Spray through from the outer sight. Each bullet carrying residue from the wall by which it penetrated.
I have to say as well, Seas look very poor yesterday, and maybe that's what they're saying to him. Find more comfort on the AWP, see if you can get rolling, hold some lines, hit some 1 or 2 shots. He hasn't looked much better this game, to be fair, but comes the inside execution on the flip side. Decent nade towards Blade and Moretta there, right in the face.
Oh. Electronic found after Seized misses 2 shots on the op, and he follows up by getting Flamey. B site is open, 41 seconds this time, so early arrival on Flipside's terms. Well, that it taking out Simple means that Guardian and Edward have to save immediately.
It's kind of ironic that the nade that causes so much damage is pretty much the unraveling of Seized there, because he finds himself in a position where he can't fall back towards Connector, has to be in the open. If he doesn't nail that first shot, which he does not, he gets taken down there. So yeah, great nade, but ultimately costing the round. And that will be a 5-on-2 now. Na'Vi have to save. Flipside for 2 rounds in a row. Slow and steady seems to be working out for them after all. Inside execution, quite a basic one. Finding a decent timing after the nade was thrown by Seized. 2 players surviving for Na'Vi. You mentioned in the previous round the money. Sure, they managed to get a full buy in the previous one, but that was them all down to $0 at that point. They'll be saving the AWP for Guardian. And 4-4 for Edward. Doesn't seem like they'll be hunted down here, so they'll be absolutely fine. But a player like Guardian hasn't gone wild as of yet. He's on 8 frags and 5 deaths, but just him alive with the AWP, especially backed up the likes of Edward with the M4, can carry these rounds single-handedly. He needs to go more aggressive though. This is the sort of play we saw from Chris J earlier. Maybe push towards Ivy and facing towards T-Spawn. Up a ramp with the AWP. See if he can just get the first pick. Just to start funneling them around the map and get them a little bit scared. He rotates off and just keeps applying the pressure.
As they go. Arnie Molotov the corner. Guardian, no smoke for him, no one way, but no shot either. Close but no cigar. Backs off, repositions, tries to go for the wall shot, still no contact. And World Edit beats him to it, jumping down. Guardian still can't find angles. Still not showing up as he typically would, as Simple gets one good shot, fair enough, with the Deagle, but then walks out to a close electronic and gets a bit of a shot. As Markelov finds Seized. Edward and Flamey, all that remain for Na'Vi yet again.
It's looking very good for Flipside. 4-2 situation. Edward with the only weapon now. Flamey on the PT-50. I think he's all the way in T-Spawn. Yeah, that's Edward trying to save the weapon. And they'll be coming hunting for him just there. So up at Flamey now. He'll sit at CT spawn. Polar opposites, of course, but he's looking for a weapon. He's hoping to find an exit frag here. PT-50 is not worth saving to the next round, so I think it's enough for some footsteps here. Use that PT-50 white out, see what he can do with it. Not much. Electronic takes him down, and it will be Edward, of course, saving in T-spawn. So, 3 rounds in a row now for Flipside. Actually looking pretty impressive here, I have to say. After going up 3-0, it seemed like Na'Vi had adjusted quite nicely, but some good timing, some nice set plays towards inner, especially after being overwhelmed by Seas, who seem to be doing such a good job towards that inner bomb site. It's going to be the lead granted towards Flipside once again. Here's the opening frags. Guardian, what a flashbang that was to take him down. It's loving that. Money still not great. We do get the 4 and 4s in the AWTL, but only 1 kit. Actually, make it 2. 1 incendiary, to be fair. Simple, only with a single flashbang as well. So definitely not a comfortable position. Incendiary used at the start to stop the outside rush. We'll be seeing many of those from Flipside as they go into another default here. World Edit looking towards the inside upper ramp. Sees playing low, just with the knife out, hoping to get a bit of information there and fall back. But Ivy, that's where it seems the excitement's about to begin. Guardian with the AWP, trying to bait in Simple. As soon as Guardian fires a shot, Simple probably runs around the corner and tries to spray them down on the other side.
Smoke deep, put Simple between 2 of them.
Could be flashed around the corner now.
He's flashed out, or at least a flash to deter toward the position, but he hasn't gone. You're right, he still could be.
The Guardian's trying to bait out. I'm still here on the other side of the smoke. It's just me. Don't worry about anything else. The inside of the action continues.
And it worked, because just as we see the action on B, which is C's trying to shut it down, Simple did get the kill at Ivy, but Electronics pulled it back yet again. It's World Edit to hold the connector, walk in, and be greeted by his op. They have to be careful. This is the shot. That's thankful. But it goes back for more, and Guardian's not falling off the edge of the ledge. What a shot. Electronic. Simple pulls it back, and Electronic bests him. The young star against the budding superstar that's kind of fizzled out, you have to say, especially on Na'Vi as of late. 7 rounds Flipside.
That's amazing from Electronic. We see a replay from his POV. That sounded crispy as hell, I have to say. Very, very good stuff from Electronic there. I'm sure this is the replay right now. That's the shot. That sounded brutal. Flamey got absolutely wrecked there. There's the 1-versus-1 situation against the likes of Simple. That's not an easy task, let me tell you. 7-5 now. Still just about having money to buy here, it seems. We've got Famouses, Deagles, UMPs, Guardian on the glass, Cannon Orp as well. It's not sounding good. He's looking to push towards the inside ramp once again. Found great success there. There's not converting rounds in the last 4. 7-5 now is the overall scoreline for Flip side. Deagle for Simple. Very good with that weapon. Seeing some amazing shots, particularly on this map as well from him. But I agree with you. Certainly a superstar that's fizzled out as of late. Towards Ivy. Good flashbang from Electronic. Buys some room. Uses the smoke and Molotov to push CT's back here. 4 players towards outside. He's happy to hold inside by himself with the Famous. Orp to find the first player here as they fully commit. It's going to be Guardian that strikes first.
Shot in from Blade. Or toward Blade, rather. Gets caught. Guardian, that was all timing through the wall.
Yeah.
He loves to wall bang toward A-main and toward... and the opposite side, but he's T-side toward ZX. Yeah, exactly, connector. He seldom makes it work, but did this time. Good timing from Seized to let 2 go by. Gets bomb as well. Markelov might find Guardian, but Seized is still the man in control. So Navi about to strike back potentially. Let's get too far ahead as Waylander brings it down to just 3 remaining, but he himself was all that was left for Flipside, and Seized is easily able to find him. Very good patience from Seized in the corner as they walk by. Here's the shot from Guardian as well.
Very nice stuff from Guardian there. Good shots. Pretty easy for an Orp of his caliber, but good positioning generally. We do say if he has the AWP, even if you've only got UMPs and pistols to work with, he can find the openings to win the rounds. It certainly delivers there. Round number 14 begins to that. 7-6 in favour of Flipside. Now they can still win the half. On the CT half, that's not a massive deal. It's getting 8-7, that's fine. That'll be enough to work with. 14 now. Flipside, if they win it though, that'll be a massive deal. Certainly the underdogs in this matchup, a challenger. We'll get into this now. And she's deployed towards the lower ramp. Shots fired off through Waylander. He knows C's has been there time and time again and found kills, so never taking any risk. Uses the flashbangs and the Molotov as well to push him back. Astain is clear. Flashbang towards Ivy now from Markelov. Good flash actually, pushes Guardian back.
That it tries to fire into the smoke and doesn't catch the jumping player on the other side, which was in fact Guardian. Here's Asimov trying to fire it back out. Really is a utility battle at Ivy. So whatever is... Oh! Stopped up midair was Markelov. May have saved him because Guardian had a fast flick. Doesn't connect, and that'll send Markelov wrapping back around toward A-main instead. He'll join in with Blade, who has the bomb. Molotov to slow them down. And on top of that, they have Simple on top of the train, waiting for the entry. Smoke off at Pop Dog. He'll be able to watch anyone that crosses toward the E-box or toward the alleyway at Hell. Markelov's gone one side. Blade goes the other. Simple finds the first and the second. Goes back and forth before Electronic gets a response. And he'll continue to slip in, but there's not much time. 15 seconds. He's found immediately by Flaming as he had to go information hunting. World Edit will pick up bomb and cannot find anything at a close angle. Guardian is awake. And it's 7-7.
Navi keeping 4 players alive there as well. Pace round from Flipside investigating towards Ivy, falling back for the full outside execution. But Simple, that bird's eye view on top of the train outside main entrance, managed to get 2 shots with the AK-47s, looking confident as he gets the information for his teammate. Takes 2 of them down and allows Guardian to finish things off there with the close range AWP. You can see him playing in front of those smokes, finding the shots that count, dropping the bomb as well. Could have got the 3rd. Would have been pretty spectacular if he managed to pull it off. That's round number 15 now. UMPs, 1 AK and a P250. This is almost looking certain to be a Navi round, but stranger things happen. Faster pace, it makes sense. Blade this time towards Olof. And got the P250 as his teammates make their way towards Ivy. Smoke deployed, flashbang out, deep breath, let's go.
Tronic already inside of the utility. Again, he's fast to get position, but they have to echo it with a fast play overall this time. And when they do, they get shut down. Simple's ready, finds him working in toward the hit. She's low on HP though. It's Waylander that'll pull it back and find Flamey as well. Seized and Guardian control it and slow the pace. We'll slow with it as World Edit waits with 8 HP on a UMP. It's found all too quickly. 8-7. It is Na'Vi that wins the half. They won 5 in a row, shut down for 4, and then strike back with 3. So it was back and forth, but not necessarily every round.
Quite a back and forth game. After winning the pistol, hitting the 3-0, Na'Vi looked a little bit overwhelmed. Managed to get 5 rounds in a row at that point. Looked much better. They were adjusting, and then after that spell, Sinai Flipside managed to come back as well. Some great tactical prowess there. Executing quite nicely as well. The defaults look solid. Ivy is a bit of a problem for Na'Vi overall, but the last 3 rounds going in their favour. Seized, I have to say, a player who I thought looked pretty abysmal yesterday was key in this victory at the half and managed to push inside the correct times, find those first picks, fall back. That would have been a bit of AWPing as well. That wasn't tremendously successful. It was just the rifle play towards inside I thought was very good. And so he can calculate the risk with Flamey and just looked like a solid unit. We'll get into the half number 2 now. Have a look at the buy. 2 smokes. That's in the back pocket of Seas and Guardian. Molotov there as well. We discussed that potential. If you go towards inside, you have that post-plant Molotov, which is so powerful. And I'm presuming that... Okay, Wayland's got an incendiary on the CD side. That's really rare. I'm interested to see what he decides to do with that. Let's say, does anyone have a smoke to extinguish it potentially? He actually has the incendiary to deny the plant inside, I guess, by himself some time with that bomb going down.
Smoke front C. Smoke shallow at E-Box as well. They want to try and get a wall-sided entry. They're going to stack up. That is a very narrow position to play. A couple of wires and some metal to hold you off from any damage. Speaking of the E-Box, it's Electronic in the site that wants to find frags as they work over to Sandwich and fan out across the facets of the outer site. Simple's trying his absolute best and will find a kill for it, but they've already lost Edward. They've already lost Guardian, and they may lose more than that. Seized. Oh, just late to get the denial, but will swing around to find Flamey, and he can afford to hold it if he wanted. Simple is well removed, and Markolov will do exactly that. Full 10 seconds. Nothing Simple's going to be able to do about it.
He's got 4 seconds. Yeah, you're right.
Keep running, keep running. Not going to get there. That's about as close as it could get. Sorry, Simple.
Decent attempt, 3 kills, but all for naught, really.
Both pistols go to Flipside, and both of them quite closely contested, I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Simple, given maybe 2 more seconds there, he could have done something about that situation, considering it's a 1v1 as well. If he denies that defuse, it's game on, but Na'Vi do give it away, and you're absolutely right. Both pistols in favour of Flipside. And here he goes, now we discussed this idea. You can force buy in the second round. Only looks like Simple will be, so he's got the AK-47 and body armor. Takes himself down to $500. So that's where they're trying to stack their bets here, see whether he can open things up. Hasn't got the head armor, so quite vulnerable. As he goes towards Ivy, smoked out, that's fine. Get himself in position. He gets that first kill. Presumably if they head towards the lower ramp, they'll try and go backtracks. You can see Edward on the other side of the map there, just setting himself up, but 4 here, anything could happen. He'll be very on the fly, depending on whether they get frags or not. No utility to work with. Simple needs to blow someone's head off. But there was a man to do it. This is the one you'd want.
In they go with Simple on an AK. To start it off, sprays down. They now know he's got the gun. Flash out. May have also just been better to let a pistol start the peek and have Simple re-peek it, but finds Blade, knows there was one more backtracks. Rotation will go towards CT from Markolov, so they can't over-rotate to chase World Edit from the position because they'll get greeted by a crossfire. Electronic finds seized. Simple still on the AK though. And Edward's going to add to the tally. Simple, good shot on Waylander. He may make it work, the 1 gun. And they're not done. Bomb in position. Simple's got another 4 kills. That's why you buy an AK on Simple.
That was so sick. He thought after he missed that first shot at Ivy, they wouldn't give him anything to work with there, but he makes it work. Coming out, the first kill was good, but the 3 following that up, especially the last one as well, carries his team to victory, and that is the power of a Simple AK-47. By himself, bit of a gamble there, but it works out. And my God, that was very, very good indeed. I'm sure we'll see the replay momentarily. We'll take a pause here. Presumably from Flipside it is indeed. Just to calm down. Blade known as a bit of a hothead in these sort of situations. Giving those rounds away will be very frustrating. They might have to eco themselves here. Could force buy into it. It's going to be a double eco regardless, so might as well do that. Here's the replay. Let's have a look at this unfold. First kill there pretty simple. This is where it gets very interesting indeed. That shot especially. Good night, Markelov. Celebration from Seized. He's enjoying himself, and why not?
I mean, you called it as well. As soon as he missed on the first entry,
yeah,
the element of surprise for that AK is gone. We thought, okay, that's it. They won't give him an inch, and he absolutely rips them apart.
Yeah, that's crazy. Once that AK spotted, like, to be fair, there's not really much you can do. They've got like a mixture of FAMASs and UMPs. They've got that AK-47. It's simple on the other side of it. So as soon as he starts hitting shots and gets in the zone, and his teammates are cheering him on, like you can tell he got in some sort of state of mind there that kind of guaranteed the victory. 9-8. Pause. Still there. This could be technical, actually. Yeah, it will be. Okay, headsets are off, it seems. Maybe the gloves are too, considering Simple delivering that sort of performance.
No raging on the other side to cause this. No broken tables. No unplugged monitors.
We haven't had any broken tables yet, have we?
We have not. That's underwhelming. I think we're going to have to ask someone.
As the tournament develops, when we get to like 0-2 games, that's when we'll start seeing some broken tables come out, I think. Tension starts mounting. Emotions riding high, you know.
Guardian with everything pulled out. No talking, lads.
Yeah, no, you're moving your lips.
Admin just leans in.
Yep,
that's enough of that.
Come on, son.
Headset in, please.
No chatting.
Oh, yeah, he definitely gave him. That looked like a scold.
Yeah. Slap on the wrist. Well, if you're just joining us, let's get you up to date, shall we? It's Nada's Vincier versus Flipside right now. This is our 0-1 game after Na'Vi lost to G2 yesterday and Flipside losing to Fnatic. They find themselves in this position. Na'Vi certainly the favourites, but Flipside, a team that's been absent from top tier CS for what, like maybe just under a year now? Like, I can't even remember the last big tournament
major.
Yeah. The last big tournament, I think they went to a DreamHack. That was about
it. So they beat big in the final at DreamHack Leipzig to start the year. And then they went to the major, obviously. Made it through to the playoffs. No, sorry, they had to qualify again. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so either way, the major was the last big event that I've seen them at that I can recall.
Yeah, but it's just a team that's like doesn't seem to play anything but the majors, which is so funny. The fact is like they're in like the Premier Division of ESL Pro League, the Mountain Dew League, whatever it is, and managed to come like 15th place in that. You think, okay, this team's surely done now. They're not going to make a major. The run's over, and nope, here they are. Putting up decent numbers against Na'Vi.
And how could I forget? I think I've gotten confused because there's so many qualification steps that when they're in the qualifier, I think of it as like, oh, they already qualified because they qualified for the qualifier, but not the. You get what I mean? Point is, how could I forget? Because they almost didn't make this major. It was triple overtime against Liquid.
That's right.
And it was the last game, the last spot in the Swiss system qualification stages. So they were very near having that run broken. They've been at so many majors in a row, it seems. And Liquid was heartbroken, completely distraught, went to Cologne and just played as hard as best they could, but this was the goal.
Indeed it was. Well, scoreline's 9-8 in favour of Na'Vi right now after that amazing force buy of a single AK from Simple. Body armour as well, no nades, managed to find 4 kills in total. We said he was a star that was diminishing, a superstar that seemed to be dropping off, but those kind of rounds, he's always got them in the chamber somewhere. Pulls it out just for Na'Vi need it. 9-8. And now Flipside presumably on an eco. Should be double eco really, so they could force into this round. Got about, on average, maybe just over $1,900 per player. Sweet. Look how we're getting into it. That's starting to get back on. I can hear some buys coming in as well. Flick of the knives. Number 18. Have a look at the scoreboard while we're here, shall we? Markelov actually top fragging. 16 kills, 11 deaths. Next to him is Electronic, who has had a very good game as well. Then there's quite a disparity between those two players. And it goes down to 6, 8, 9 kills, and it's Electronic and Markelov running away with it.
Interestingly enough, Markelov, by the way, all of his top performances are majors.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's the other events that he struggles at.
Makes sense. I do remember him having big plays at these events. I think it was the first event I cast him out was Cologne 2015. He was like lights out there. He was looking really good.
Anders still believes.
I'm starting to believe as well, Matthew.
I'm not.
No.
It would be nice. Imagine that's in the shuffle. He and World Etiquette split up. He becomes an opper.
Yeah, could happen.
Renaissance.
Well, We'll try and work out what the pause is here and hopefully get back into it. We haven't heard anything just yet. So I assume it's something trivial like a sound issue. And it would
We
be
actually had, yeah, an indication of that. Did you know that there have been 4,304 souvenir drops this game?
I did not know that, but you've informed me. So
I'm going to jump in Twitch chat and just idle, get my drops.
The scoreboard's on your screen right now. Simple versus Blade. Not sure what those two are the comparison, but Simple with 19 kills, Blade with 6. And I guess it's the top performer on Na'Vi and the underperformer for Flipside so far. As we're ready and waiting to get back into this game. 9-8 at the moment. Flipside, I guess, surpassing expectations, like in terms of the fight they put up against Na'Vi. I'm kind of quite impressed right now. They've gone to the CT side. They can still have a serious chance of winning this game. After winning the pistol, they have lost the second round. Looks like they will be taking potentially an eco here. We're not quite confirmed on that one just yet. There's another comparison. Edward between Markelov. Be Edward, who has got 10 frags, and Markelov on 16. So it is comparing the best and worst of each team.
One of the Finnish players, by the way, remember?
Technically finished.
Technically finished, but apparently doesn't speak the language.
Yeah.
Is on this team on Flipside, obviously, in Waylander.
That's true.
But that it's kind of an interesting thought that Paul said that this morning there's 5 Finnish players here.
So you've got Zen, Sunny,
Alu,
Waylander, Alu. Am I missing one?
No, you're right. Who's the 5th? Sorry for the person we're forgetting.
I think that's it. I'm not sure.
Maybe he's counting Nasu as the
he's not here
coach, but he's not here. Maybe he's counting Natsu himself.
Yeah, counting
that could have
himself.
been it. Yep.
Yeah.
That means they would have 5 players.
That means we've got like 10 Brits here.
That's true. There are more Canadian players in this major than British. How does that make you feel?
Oh, we're fine with that. There's never been a UK player at a major.
That's
never
depressing, isn't it?
Well, not for me.
Yeah, you've been at all of them.
Yeah.
You're still repping it. Listed at 4 is Finland, so yeah, Natsu would have been what he was referring to when he said 5.
Fair enough. Well, it looks like we're still working the issue. Players still have the headsets on, so I'm quietly hopeful this will get underway momentarily. "30 years old, Blade. One of the few in the 3-0 club.
Got a few in the 3-1 club this year.
It's true.
I would almost be in the top 10. You would be.
I'm 29 this year.
You would be. Cajun B is the 10th oldest, and he is born in 1989.
Yeah, he's younger than me, so I would be in the top 10. Top 10 is something, just being old. Just turning up, being old. That's what I'd make it for.
Wow. There you go. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
It's like Gobby said, you know. It's to be in that club. Not something you want to be in, but you take it nonetheless.
If you're still at the majors, you're that age, you've done something right. Like the fact you're still kept around. I guess the experience, the knowledge, the wisdom. And we'll see. Matthew, we're spice things up. We'll come on camera for a bit.
How about that? How about that spicy, spicy, spicy meatball? Threw one more in there for you, Harry.
Yeah, how's it going?
Speaking of Harry.
A time to calm down. We've had 3 games so far. It's the 3rd, of course. Some exciting ones. A couple of upsets to kick off the day. This one should not be an upset. I don't think. I still think Na'Vi going to win it, but I've heard we've got some special features.
We do. This is how you shoot some guns.
Here we go.
Welcome everybody to Shooting Stars, where PGL has given us a license to thrill. That is right, we are at a shooting range and I am joined by our 3 stars, Anders, Sadakist and Prius. Guys, have you shot guns before?
Yes, 5 times at a shooting range, I think. I'm wearing the North Locos. I hope I can still shoot guns even if that's true. But...
Channel your inner Magis boy, your inner config maybe?
Yeah, well, listen, I'm repping their brand, so I feel like I can burn them a little bit. But yeah, I think it should be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Matt, what about you?
I've shot like the typical farmer's .22 rifle. That was my grandfather's. Not that he was a farmer.
so I don't know if that counts. So this is my first time at a range.
Okay, Prius?
Complete noob. I'm like a wood 3.
Oh, that's a dangerous rank whilst we're here. And Prius, what about you? I've heard
Box 4 though, which is what you are.
Maybe we'll have to see. I've heard Prius though is a bit of a global elite.
Shotgun Guns won Atlanta with Anders. Anders is most definitely better than me, but I'll see what I can do.
All right, well, let's head inside and hopefully rank up. Maybe we'll do some damage. Right, this way, guys. Follow me. After you.
Oh, merci. Yes, indeed. That's graceful.
We have a menu on the wall.
We do.
Pick your poison.
It's going to have to be the AK-47 at least, right?
Yeah. We should get rifle, pistol, and a shotgun.
Good point. Yeah, Glock is, the Counter-Strike weapon, so got to go for that.
And then one of these shotguns.
Yeah, Mossberg's always a good, powerful one.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be loud.
We think it's only right in typical Counter-Strike fashion to do predictions, and so each of us will pick who we think is going to be the best and the worst. You can't vote for yourself in either of the categories.
That's too bad.
Prius, please go ahead.
I think Anders will be the best. I think you'll be the worst.
Ooh. I've got Matt as best and you as worst.
Okay, so that's 2 for 2 worst right now.
Sorry, Paul, it's 3 for 3. I'm going to go worst and best for Anders.
Okay. At least I got a W, but it's not the one I wanted. 3 Ws. I'll go for Anders the best and Matt the worst.
Ooh. It's a challenge. I like it.
Just to clarify, we are going to be scoring this. 1 point to the body, 2 for the head. We're going all out Counter-Strike, going for the one taps.
Yeah.
Woo! Where everyone had Powder as the worst.
Does that count? That's a hat.
That counts. I got 4 to the head, you got 4 to the head.
No.
You missed 3 in the head. You missed 3 bullets.
And 4 to the
Look
chest.
at the 3 around your guy's head.
Yeah, you have 3 on the head.
Dude,
and
that's
4 on the chest. Yeah.
That's
1
2 in the middle, 1 to the
3.
right, 1 in the bottom left.
We need a referee
and then there's
for this.
5 all over the body. You missed 3 shots. I'm way ahead of you, bro. No, this guy's for the cheat. No. No.
There's only 3 on the head.
No. We're going to get those back as well. Anyway, we're bickering.
Letting America down, DJ. Gotta try harder.
Come on, Deej. Where have the bullets gone? 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's not a hit. That's a fucking hit. That wouldn't have hit him in the head though, because it would have hit the gun, and the gun wouldn't hit him in the head.
Okay, so that's 4 in the head.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4,
That's not
5.
okay.
Body.
Can we get a
1
referee?
miss.
Can we get a coach?
Did you miss, Matt? Let's hold them up. Let's compare them.
That's not a headshot.
Let's compare them.
That hit his hand.
Let's compare them like pieces of art.
It wouldn't have got him in the head.
Oh, look, you've given him a little halo. That's quite cute.
Here's the thought. Let people on social media decide.
Yeah, exactly. I get it. Is that a headshot? That is definitely not. The gun handle will stop that bullet.
This is called delusion. This is called delusion.
Body shot at best.
Boom, headshot. Guys, that looks like quite a convincing victory for Anders. Round of applause. Smiley.
What is that?
Wow. Someone should check his config.
I'm never getting on his bad side ever.
Woo!
I think I got him on this one.
He's definitely dead.
Woo! That's half a point. That's half a point. Oh no!
You missed?
Uh-oh. Oh! That might have
I might have jumped it.
Oh my God.
it. Danish Counter-Strike rears its head once
That was
again.
way off.
Okay, so 2 points for shotgun.
1.5.
2 points for shotgun.
1.5.
Then we have the AK. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
No, you gotta do the headshots though. Oh, you did 2, 4, 6, 8. Sorry,
Yeah.
carry on.
No, it's fine.
So how much was that? 13?
13, so 15.
Is that one a headshot though?
Matt, come on.
Is
stop,
that a headshot?
Stop reaching for
It hit
straws,
the
Matt.
hand.
15. And then 17, 19, 21.
23.
23.
Math's hard.
24. 25, 26, 27, 28. I'm not going to take the earshot. That's fine.
Yeah,
so
that's
28.
That's fine.
28.
That's fine. Okay. So 2 for me on the shotgun. Have to say most accurate as well, if I'm honest, on the shotgun. Keep these away from yours. I don't want them to be confused. Don't want you to get any extra points. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Fair enough. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's the AK. And then the old Glock. So where was I? 15.
15.
15. 17, 19, 21, 23. Paula, 23. 24, 25, 26. What did you get?
28.
Bro, I'm out. I'm out.
Wait. They're still Anders. Okay. Is that a headshot?
No.
Yes.
No?
No, that's not.
No.
For you.
Right
Well,
there.
yours
That's
is
not, it's under the chin.
Okay, where's yours? Where's yours?
You can check it, bro.
Where's yours? So this was the one you counted. Under the chin. Under the chin. Also hit
No,
the
I
barrel of the
didn't
gun.
count that one.
Well, hang on. Then it was this one.
And that one's on the chin.
It's on the gun. Would that bullet penetrate through and be? No. That's so we had 27.
Let DJ count it.
Okay, 27. Carry on.
I'll count it.
Prius. Almost called the
2,
blue.
of course. 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's the Glock. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
14.
14, that's the AK.
Nice. 14. Nailed it.
What do you got, Andy? He's going to drop a 30 bomb, isn't he?
Might drop a 30
He's going to drop a 30 bomb.
So for this one, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the head.
10.
So 10 and
11.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 outside of that.
So 15.
So 15 for that one. And that was the AK.
Oh, look at that.
It'll pierce his ear.
No, well, I didn't count my ears.
No one's died from that.
Okay.
So the rest are all headshots. So that's 7 times 2.
So 14 on 15.
29.
29. And the shotgun, we'll just forget about that.
He beat you by 1 point.
No, he beat you by 2 points. He beat you by 2 points.
That's always got to rain on the parade. No, man. Look, enjoy
what he does.
being beaten by 2. You bested Prius. You did okay. This is the champion. This is the people's champion. Prius, shout out to you for saying that I would be worse. You took that title from me. Thank you very much.
Well played.
Guys, any final thoughts? Final words?
I just want to say I predicted Anders to win, and he won.
Same.
I was going first, so I had more people watching me, a little more nervous. So I think if we did this again and I was last, Anders and I would have a good battle. You'd be nowhere near.
Thank you guys very much for the support. It's been a pleasure to bring you this Shooting Stars experience. Keep it locked into the stream, and we will see you very, very soon.
First 4 matches of the day have been as close as humanly possible. We've had 5 rounds of overtime across 2 maps. The other 2 matches went to 30 rounds, 16-14s each one. None of the teams giving up at any point during these matches. G2 is his overwhelming favorites to qualify for the major, and they played pretty well in their first match. They had a couple bumps in the road, but I mean that's pretty much par for the course with them in early matches and early group stages. But those guys still just have so much skill and widely considered to have the biggest peak of all of professional Counter-Strike.
Both to the apartments, and he's blind. Surely there's a peak eventually coming in from Shocks.
Great position here. Oh, Bolster's waiting for the perfect moment. Strax gets himself to the third one coming easily as well, and that's a great cleanup.
Optic had a little bit more of a struggle in their matches. They're still reeling. They still haven't figured out any of the the coaching in-game leader situation that they have going on with their lineup. You can see there's been a loss of confidence. There's a loss of a step here or there for them, but still you can see all the skill on display, even in a loss, that they're still going to be dangerous going forward in the tournament. Penta came into this as a massive dark horse. They've been actually kind of a sleeper pick of people to get out of this because we've seen them play very, very well in the lower echelons of Counter-Strike and in some of the lower tournaments. But coming into this, I mean, they have star players like Sunny, who's been performing very, very admirably, and he brought them to that first win. And they're looking like they're going to be very dangerous going forward.
What else did you think it was?
Oh, no, not like Madonna, but I mean, I thought his first name was Tarek. I thought that was his name.
Oh, looks like Eco will be cleaned up here, making a lot of money, considerable amount of money, on $8K now.
Even the underdogs coming into this tournament have shown that they're well prepared, that they're not giving up, they're still chasing this dream. Tai Lu was an unknown quantity in the fact that they were able to challenge a Liquid team who was one of the best in North America. It's playing very well lately, just shows they've been improving during all this time off. This is the culmination of 6 months of hard work for them. The NA teams, well, we had Team Liquid and they won double overtime over Tai Lu. They struggled a little bit, but Liquid is going to be focusing on not the scores of their wins, just getting those 3 map wins. That's all that matters, is qualifying for the major.
But the smoke goes down, and that sort of prevents the trade attempt. That actually might make DD's life slightly more difficult here as he now gets onto the bomb site. And he can try to plant, but the problem is that CT could just rush him, so he's got to be very careful. He's going to fake it initially. And Grush to the smoke himself, going absolutely mental there. The spin there from DD somehow finds himself the kill. Wow, well, he's had some time to calm things down as we have, the lineup there for 8-7. Pulls out the USP, almost gets every single player.
Godsend's like the forgotten son of the Nordic region. They're a team that just has so much danger in terms of, Pronax, who's one of the legendary in-game leaders of all time in Counter-Strike. A lot of skill behind them as well. And they came and showed up. It's always a question mark, but they've showed up in this first match and that they're here to compete. It's the Godsend that we want to see, the Godsend that's going to be challenging for a spot in Poland.
Second half of the day, Tengri versus Mouse Sports. Tengri from the CIS region versus the Mouse Sports European team. Obviously, a lot of you guys obviously know them. 16-1 scoreline for Mouse Sports tells a story on its own. You can tell that it really get to play against the top European teams on a daily basis much. They just were overwhelmed in pretty much in all parts of the game. Even getting the start on the side of Inferno, still having to, struggling as much as they did, but it's just the first game for them, obviously, so that's the land jitters are out of the way, and they obviously get more opportunities to try to get some wins, and you never know, they're the kind of team that have that unexpected kind of quantity that no one really knows what to expect going into the game, so they'll have their chances.
Some good fundamental Counter-Strike, it's what you need to see more of, but they still both lose their lives. And actually, I think the peak from SNK was just like 3 seconds off from spotting Dennis. They're heartless. They're just gonna hunt him down, man. This is incredibly brutal.
Hellraisers versus VEGA Squadron was a game that everyone expected to be quite one-sided towards Hellraisers, obviously. VEGA Squadron we've seen before at the previous major qualifier where they upset NIP. That was one of the massive things that happened in that tournament. So going to this one, between these two tournaments, we haven't really seen much of them within the top Counter-Strike scene. So first half of that game actually went to the way of VEGA Squadron. Eventually Hellraisers was able to creep out of it, but still positive signs for VEGA Squadron. I think they can definitely be a problem for some of the teams in this tournament.
One smoke for VEGA Squadron. An aggression coming in, that's better from Bondic. Gets the first kill, takes down JR. Against B apartments.
Yep, Sod on the left. Picture, Bondic. Gets Kashander as well, but he lost Angel in doing so. It still gives them a 4 versus 2 to work with as he backpedals towards CT. Gets Chopper as well. Bondic looking quite good in this pistol round as Huchi and try and walk back out. Has no clue who's firing at him and from where, excuse me. He's sure to go down, and Bondic confirms that with his 4th kill in the round.
Flipside versus Renegades was an interesting matchup. You had Asian Minor champions Renegades, who finally managed to win an Asian Minor after having multiple tries at it, always faltering to Tyloo. Playing against Flipside, that is basically currently they always pretty much make the majors. But we haven't seen them in a long time. They've been kind of absent from top competitive Counter-Strike. So we don't really know what to expect. We know they're a team that's always, they practice a lot, they have a very methodical approach, they get very tactical, they try to outsmart their opponents in every situation. And that was kind of the theme of the game as well. They even outsmarted themselves. In some situations where they already had an advantage, but they would still try to do a fake. I heard from Blade, their in-game leader, that there was a bit of jitters. Well, they were a little bit panicking in certain situations, which caused them to lose some silly rounds. But coming back, I think it was 4 game points that they managed to defend against and managed to make the game in an overtime and then take it. Shows that they have the resilience and still have a lot of different kind of ways to approach the game, and their tactic book is just very wide, and they're good at adapting, end of the day. And the first game, they got that out of the way, and again, they're one step closer to getting to another major.
The Cloud9 versus Big matchup was actually really cool on paper because Big is this tactical, mastermind, and Gabi, the in-game leader, this tactical team, and that's exactly what Cloud9 is missing. But on the reverse side of it, Cloud9 has all the firepower. They have all the big star names from North America, all the big-time players that we've had over the years are all on Cloud9. So outside of Tabson, Big had no one to challenge it. But this matchup was just purely about Stewie. This was Stewie at his finest. He was in his element. He got rolling so early and it just never slowed down. Big couldn't stop him. He was doing everything we know him for, jumping through smokes, getting multi-kills left and right. And he opened up rounds and he finished them off for Cloud9 and let him do a huge win.
First match of the day, it was an upset, maybe not the biggest upset we had so far, but Penta, the manner in which they defeated Team Liquid 16-3 on Mirage with a very, very strong T side, just seemed like Liquid was a bit slow to get into the game, and Penta took full advantage of it, started off with a very fast-paced play style, aggression all over the map. Liquid tried to adjust, but they were simply completely outclassed. The Optic VEGA game, that was probably the biggest upset we had so far in the qualifier. Optic, of course, as a challenger team, having a slot at the major qualifier. VEGA, on the other side of things, had to come through the CIS minor, so a qualified team beating a challenger team, and they managed to do so, playing the more difficult side on Train as the terrorist, being 9-6 down in the first half. Mir, the star of the team, had an amazing game, was doing a lot of work for the team. Optic, because they lost to Penta already, they had to put more emphasis there, which in turn made the outer bomb side slightly weaker, and VEGA just did a great job of taking advantage of that. We had a rematch of the Asian Minor and a matchup that we saw 2 times there, Renegades versus Tyloo, and the map was Cash, which was actually the map that Renegades won both times they played it at the Minor. So you could tell that Tyloo was probably prepared for it since they let it go through, and I think you could see the impact of Peacemaker in the little time that he was with the team. We saw a couple of really good executes from Tyloo. They were looking a bit more on point tactically, and they had a very, very dominant first half on the T side. Now, switching sides, Renegades started mounting a comeback. The game was very close, very messy, a lot of clutch rounds as well, and at the very, very end, Tyloo did manage to win an eco round, which just gave them enough to edge out Renegades in a 16-14 game.
So the 4th game of the day was Big versus Tengri, which on paper should have been an easy conclusion. Big was obviously the favorites going into this. I have them as a team that should be one of the top 8 and actually make the major itself, and Tengri came off of an abysmal start to this tournament with a 16-1 loss. So I thought going into it, pretty straightforward. Big lost to Cloud9 16-14 on Cobblestone, the same map they were about to play. Their CT side was the issue. They were starting on T side. Everything was there for, a 16 to single-digit win over Tengri. But it didn't really prove that way, and surprisingly Big, who's known for really good execution, showed a lot of lack of it. They didn't get smokes down, they were really sloppy on entrances, they lost a lot of the duels, couldn't really ascertain drop room to split B. When they went A, they were going one at a time, and it looked like for a while Tengri was actually going to take control of the game. The one saving grace though for Big was the man who stepped up in multiple occasions, and I have to say I agree with Henry in that without Tabson, Big is a whole different team. He saved them so much in this game and really bailed Big out, because if they had gone down 0-2 in this tournament on day 2, I don't think they would recover, but now that they're in 1-1, Pool's going to level out and there's a chance they can actually still make it through.
The Immortals Dignitas game was, on paper, one of the most exciting of the day. It was two very heavy-hitting teams, high fragging potential there. The scene was set on Cash, which was going to be a really exciting prospect for us, one of the fastest maps we have in the pool right now. It kicked off with a very exciting pistol. It was a T-side start there for Dignitas, managing to get the bomb down, and unfortunately for them, a full defuse coming in there with the 3 players surviving on the T side, which is unheard of. That really set the tone for the rest of the game. It was really disappointing for Dignitas after the first half, 13-2 in the first setting. And then we move over, and then we see somehow Immortals throwing the game. Before it was a lock-in, they'd absolutely done it. It was done. There was no chance of Dignitas coming back. But they fall back on the CT side, and Immortals actually looked pretty poor on the T side. They didn't get the bomb down once in 10 rounds. They couldn't get anything closed out. It was actually almost a comeback coming in there. Finished up 16-13, and some amazing plays from the likes of Fox, Jacob as well, but they couldn't quite get over the finish mark. It was a really exciting game with some disappointing T-halves and some bad decisions overall, but Dignitas, unfortunately for them, they're now 0-2, and probably might not make it to the major at this point.
Hellraisers met up with Flipside, a matchup that we knew from actually a year ago at the Cologne Major qualifiers, where Flipside managed to beat Hellraisers in the deciding match to qualify for the major. They hadn't met on land since and ended up on Overpass. Both teams are pretty prominent on the map, and Flipside just showing dominance on the city side, playing very aggressive, but at the same time was very calculated. It seemed like they had a great game plan going on, and that's something you can expect from a team that Blade is a part of, that he has thought of every single thing they did. Electronic was having a great game, and yeah, it was just basically a one-team show to win throughout. One of the most highly anticipated games of the day was definitely G2 versus Cloud9. G2 obviously a team that everyone's expecting to become one of the best teams, if not the best team in the world, and Cloud9 has shown that they can still fight with the better teams. It ended up being a bit of a G2 show, even though Cloud9 mounted a comeback in the second half, but first half was all Frenchmen, to be honest with you. They were dominating the game for the most part, hitting double digits going into the halftime. In the second half, you could see desperation in the way Cloud9 was playing. They would be sending Stewie on a mission on his own, and he'd be the one to have to do the plays. It's not something that is very sustainable in the long run. There needs to be some kind of protocol system behind your play. In the end, G2 were the victorious, and they would be moving on to be very close to making the major. For the last game of the day, we had Godsend versus Mouse Sports in a match where Mouse Sports themselves saying afterwards that they feel like they are one of the favorites in this tournament. Not sure if they exactly are, but still, I mean, more so than maybe Godsend is right now. And again, the big difference maker in the match was basically Godsend making massive mistakes on Train as a map, which is not maybe one of their comfort maps at all. They may have been surprised by the fact that it ended up on the map. Losing a 5-on-2 and a 5-on-3 situation, you just can't win like that. To start things off on Saturday, we had Dignitas facing off Tengri in an elimination match, and don't think anyone's really surprised that Dignitas were the one to come out on top, but Tengri, a valiant effort for them. No one was really expecting them to be going far in this qualifier, but still they showcased they have some skill individually, especially some strategies to go by, but still small little mistakes here and there mount up, and they lost man advantage situations and so forth. So unfortunately, they're going to be eliminated at this tournament. But then again, you know, they'll have a lot to learn from it, and we wish them best of luck in the future.
For the second game of the day, we had Optic taking on Renegades, one of the North American teams in Optic. Renegades, an Australian team that's been playing in North America for the past year and a half or so. So this was just a well-rounded performance from Renegades. They ended up taking the match. It was also an elimination match, so it takes Optic completely out of the tournament. Well-rounded, though, from the Renegades side. No one really stuck out. It wasn't any kind of star play. It was just good, fundamental, basic team Counter-Strike. JKS had a couple big rounds down the stretch, but overall the story of this is going to be how the mighty have fallen. Optic was one of the best teams in North America, and they were even competing for titles just 6 months ago. It's just kind of very sad to see where they've gone, so they're eliminated from the major. Tyloo took on VEGA Squadron on Inferno, and VEGA Squadron ends up winning this game, which was, I think, a little bit of a surprise to many. So in some ways, it's a small upset of sorts. But really, the story of this is JR from VEGA Squadron. His AWPing was so incredibly on point. Bails them out. He wins a magnificent 1-on-4 that just seemed to crush Tyloo. Really, despite all the talent and all the promise that Tyloo shows, this really exposed some of their inexperience and some of their critical flaws in post-plant situations.
I felt pretty confident before the match against Immortals. We were pretty prepared and we kind of knew which map's gonna be. And yeah, the game plan was ready for both maps, and we knew that we needed to step up as we played the day before. But we also know that if we are good, in a good shape, that we can crush them on the map where we were prepared. If we manage to play this concentrated, we are pretty strong, I would say.
Cloud9 took on Godsent on DE Train, which is kind of an interesting thing by itself. It's a map Godsent has lost previously in a couple close matches earlier in this tournament. On top of that, I mean, just speaking of Godsent, one of their big critical flaws in this team is their map pool. They don't have a lot of different options. Favorite two maps are Mirage and Cache. Cloud9 wisely bans both of those out, so it ends up on a map that we've seen they're not exactly world beaters on. And here, once again, it just kind of showed. Cloud9 was just too strong. Guys like Stewie, guys like Automatic, those are always the names you're going to hear when Cloud9 takes a victory. They were so aggressive on the map. They controlled things perfectly. Godsent managed to claw their way back kind of into contention, but Cloud9 slowed down the pace a little bit and were able to close out that match.
Later in the day, we had the Penta versus Mousesports game, a sort of a domestic rivalry in terms of organizations, both German organizations, but both teams are now international teams. And Penta, the surprise package of the tournament, started off great, like they did in some of their previous games, being up 9-0 on the T side. But Mousesports, led by Rops, did a great job of coming back into the game after that, winning 9 straight rounds of their own. And it was a very close affair up until the very end. But Mousesports did just manage to edge out Penta and qualify for the major. Liquid versus Hellraisers, it was a very one-sided game. Liquid having a very strong first half on the T side of Train, with Hellraisers winning pistols. So it looked like Hellraisers might have a good game there, but ever since the second round, Liquid just took over the game, was very dominant. Their individuals were very much on point, and it just seemed like Hellraisers were out of it. For the last game of the day, we had G2 versus Flipside, and Flipside not necessarily a surprise for this tournament, just an unknown really. We haven't seen them for a very long time, but their reputation at the major qualifiers is something that needs to be respected at this point. And G2, a team who were the favorites coming into this one with a pretty much secured spot, everyone would think, and it was a very close affair actually. G2 started off strong. Flipside, as usual, managed to find a way to claw back, and it was some heroics from Kenny S towards the end of the game, winning a couple of important clutches that did secure G2 that spot at the actual major, and they're definitely going to be one of the teams who can potentially win the whole thing.
Penta versus VEGA Squadron was the opening match of the final day of the PGL Major Qualifier. It was on Train, and VEGA Squadron has proven that they can be a pretty tricky opponent. They've got some good skill, but Penta just relied on that tried and true style, heavy play towards the inner bomb site, very, very grouped up, focus on trading, and eventually they ran away from the match. It was a good start, and then eventually once they just broke them, started out with a little bit of a back and forth between the two teams, but eventually the star power, Sunny, HS, these guys stepped up, and eventually they just overran VEGA Squadron to qualify for the PGL Major. Tyloo versus Hellraisers was the first elimination match. The loser of this actually got eliminated from the qualifier. And it was on Overpass, which is pretty crazy, but the cool thing was Hellraisers had come into this.
Underway. We're near the end, the sharp end of it, at least. On Train, Flipside versus Na'Vi. And it's a close affair. It's been a battle. I think that it's starting to go the way of Na'Vi. They're starting to come alive. Simple, obviously, in the start of the second half. Winning with the AK buy in the second round is something to marvel at. And as a result, could be what wins them the game.
Not even a force buy. It's one AK-47. The scoreline, thank you for being patient with us, is 9-8 in favour of Na'Vi after the epic performance there from Simple. What a god he was in that round. We'll get back into this one. It is going to be, from what I can see, a full investment here from Flipside. A couple of players giving their money about $1,000. That's well done. Of course, the Orpa. UMP's coming out 5-7 as well. PG50 for Blade. As we get into a very favoured round for Na'Vi. With double digits here. They get the 4 AK-47s. MP7 on Flamey as well. Full array of utility to work with here. And it's holding up in the default for now. Won't be giving too much away here. They know how valuable this round is and how difficult it will be to recover from losing this sort of round. Some shots, pushing any CTs back. Electronic waiting on the other side. Did not inflicting any damage just yet.
Okay, down. Electronic forward of it. Second one should do, I thought, more damage. Thought it would end up closer. Between the two nades, he only loses 6 HP. I'll head over toward B. Na'Vi with bomb. Markelov down on the tanker. Wide side shot, waiting for them to enter, waiting for them to be hopefully walking into his Deagle crosshair and fire blindly into the smoke. Simple leaves a gap to try and drop down. He takes a lot of damage. Waylander follows it. He may do more. Flamey, MP7 can at least get the kill, and Guardian goes aggressive. That'll help secure the site for the bomb. Electronic and Waylander, excuse me, World Edit. It's confusing me a bit today, but are the last two alive. With Simple on low HP, they'll easily be able to pick up him. And World Edit will try and sneak in. Electronic goes down to 1 HP. Could catch Guardian. Tries to line up a quick headshot. Still manages to get the kill. Flamey on 10. Had Electronic fancied sticking around. He may have been able to do something more so with the AK picked up, but seized aim punch factor, takes down World Edit, and it will go to 10-8.
It will indeed. Na'Vi, dicey there. Bit of an investment from Flipside, but can't find the round victory. Flamey surviving on 10 HP. It's Electronic saving his head armor. And 5-7 with 1 HP there. So the best result there. They will be on Eco next round, presumably, after the full investment. 3 kills picked up. Can't deny the plant coming in there. Electronic will indeed survive as he gets towards the server position. 10-8, as you said, has to be the Eco now for the CT side. Na'Vi, have to agree, looking pretty good towards the tail end of this third game of the day. Both these teams 0-1 right now. Flipside certainly an underdog, but I've surprised us in the last month or so, managing to qualify for this event, taking down some big names on their journey to do so. 3 HE grenades, you know they'll be used towards the main entrance at the very start. They might be able to take C's down here if the nades are timed well. Here come the HE grenades now. Does some damage towards C's, but only down to 71 HP. Won't be finding the kill just yet.
Edward starts to push onto Waylander's position. Pistol close. Still not close enough. Edward able to hit him down. I mean, Simple, Mac 10 from that range is... Alright, fair enough. It's Simple, but it's a bit awkward. Got Dank taken down in the end when he re-peeked. Edward's able to capitalize on it. Blade actually walks in just after Flamey looked down towards CT, but he looks back and finds him anyway. So it goes 8 still for Flipside, but that's the 11th for Na'Vi.
Money available this time. Water to bring out the AWP. Hasn't had the most lights out game so far. 11 kills, 15 deaths for him. On the other side of the server, of course, Guardian 14 and 10. Decent from him, I guess, overall. It's Simple. It's been leading the charge, of course, that massive round in number 2 of the second half. Flamey with some nice crisp one taps here with the AK-47. Not too bad whatsoever. Securing the round there. It will be 11-8. Looking to bounce back here. Blade is on the Famous. Flamey also toward the bomb plane. Taking a lot of damage. Edward actually goes down to the flames there. HE to the face and then couldn't recover. Well, I think hit him with the AWP as well, so that will be another power for Edward. 5 on 4 now.
Electronic will elevate himself onto the bomb. Just above the bomb default spot. Hopeful to avoid flames. Perhaps get vision above smokes. Good shot, World Edit finds Simple. Electronic, without smoke down, is able to find Flamey as he walks out from the E-box. Guardians next in line. AWP pre-scope in. Smoke still. That sandwich won't let him see toward Ivy, but Seized finds the kill anyway. Guardian finds the next one. They might be onto something. 3 players in the A site. One at Backtracks if you include that as the A site.
Yeah.
And the 4th member at B.
Definitely down to Guardian at this point. You're absolutely right. At the E-box right now, hoping that someone just makes the mistake, but flip side, a very disciplined side, won't be giving too much away. He does edge around the correct angle though, but can't find a shot. Wilder that beats him to the punch. Bomb dropped. I don't see C's making much of a dent in this round. 30 seconds, sure, but no bomb, and it's surrounded by those things players at Ivy, the bomb train, and all bomb as well.
I think Electronic's trying to actually bait with the jump noises as much as anything. Because Ivy's already covered. Guardians, or rather World Edits goes backside. Guardian already went down there, so he's trying to pick himself up late though. Markelov still finds the accuracy, so flip side finding another round. Their first sense the pistol.
Indeed, well, still plenty of money available for Na'Vi here. Faster paced round. It was Edward that went down first to the AWP shot and then can of flames on the CT side. Guardian trying to do what he can. He'd look on the right hand side of his screen as well, edit his POV. Took him down. That was the round over. And the bomb was dropped with little time remaining. Not much C's could do apart from find 1 kill. That was it. 21, 11-9. Flip side close the margins here. AWP available. Previous side. No double AWPs yet for flip side. Quite rare to see them bring that out. Markelov obviously will be the secondary AWP, but does bring it out on training from time to time. Depending on how well things are going. If they're going very well indeed, sure, bring it out. Boost up above this smoke. Not much to work with there, Guardian. Don't think it'll be his first pick just yet. There are 2 players on the other side, so we'll see.
Blade. Behind smoke fades away. Looked like he wanted to get aggressive. Peek back in toward Ivy. Guardian's going to reposition himself with the AWP back down toward T-spawn where bomb is, but meanwhile it's Electronic. Below the ladder indeed. Edward falls immediately onto him. Thanks for the AK. He'll re-smoke the position as he fades off inside of the site instead. Still holding on to the doorway at the very least because World Edit's got coverage toward A main. AWP wide side of the smoke. No feet shown inside of it. He'll reposition ever so slightly just to get the angle. A better angle. Guardian may take it as well. Jumps across. Went into it. Thought he could find him behind the train rather than waiting for the second opportunity. Have to be careful because they have no one going toward Pop Dog after Electronic smoked it, so he's able to catch Simple on the way through. That'll drop the bomb temporarily. A 2-kill advantage to work with for Na'Vi. Good shot for Flamey. Excuse me, but now it's Na'Vi with 2. I was going to say for flip side, but Flamey's pulled it back. Good entrance, good positioning. Steals that one from him, but damage was done. Markelov does spray back to find Guardian, but he's not got much else to work with. In fact, he's alone, and by I say not much else, just the gun. No utility, no kit, bomb planted. 1 versus 2. He has ample time to at least evaluate and investigate because the bomb has just gone down. Tag on to Seized, but Flamey steps in and follows up.
Great round from Flamey there. I'm going to call that 4 kills for him. Like, the way he was playing there, he deserved that 4. Seized to sneak it in there, but still very well recovered. That was actually a 5-on-3 situation, I believe, as well. Maybe 5-on-2 towards the end. Flip side, giving that round away, what looked like such a convincing round for them. 12-9, it's damaging to the economy as well. You can see they have to take an eco as well. Getting to the closing sectors of the second half now. Na'Vi certainly the favourites. Here's the replay. Great communication. He's giving the information as to where World Edit is positioned. Takes that first shot, and there's the second and third. 12-9. Was destined to be 13 here. We'll see whether Flip's going to do anything about that. UMP for Waylander. Some 5.7s, a couple of Deagles as well. Some armor. Electronic. I was about to say he gets taken down. It's actually World Edit gets dropped first. Now, and his Blade's turn. Spots a few towards Ivy. Not really much you can do about it. Molotov out of position. Smoked out as well now. Flashbangs coming through. And all he can do is sit back and watch as his teammates drop around him. We'll join him as well. Electronic, the final player here, towards E-box. It's done some damage, but I think that's all he'll do in this round.
Electronic not got much left in this world. If you can kill Guardian and run toward him to steal the gun, he'd be doing well. Good tag. Better than that. Actually gets Flamey down, but it's Na'Vi now with 3 rounds to go.
3 to go. Oh, money's still dire though, Matt. This could be done just for this scoreline alone. Like, they've got to take another eco here. They'll then be 49. They're getting the HE grenades again, using those towards main entrance. But I think at this point, when you know the money's low, you just don't go near that position until the nades have been thrown. Very rare that works out. When it does, when you, like, the T's go for a full-on outside rush and you drop 4 grenades there, it can be very problematic unless you win around. I've seen it a couple of times in the top tier scene. I said a couple, literally a couple. I think it's worked out. I can't remember the tournament. It was recent though. Here come the nades once again. Not landing any damage. There it is. C's pretty much the same as last time. Electronic ready in the pop dog with the 5.7 in hand. Close range weapon, of course. Could sneak behind them, but the flashbang lands in front of them. Not too blind, but Guardian getting the first shot. Have to rotate towards Inner. Simple, patiently looking towards that pop dog, and C's trying to show presence outside.
How menacing is that shadow?
Yeah.
It's like the guy that you know is waiting outside of your house with, like, about to break in with a gun. Just, come on, let's go. Let's go. See, it's as dark and as grim as our monitor just turned for a moment, but Flamey's got World Edit down.
Got really scared then.
Did you?
Yeah, oh god.
Because I just
Not
made
again.
this nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
This nightmare in your head.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was quite a weird insight to your mind.
I don't really know how it works sometimes.
That classic reference of the guy waiting outside of the gun. It's like, okay, nice. But yes, it was exactly like that. I agree. 14-9, Matt. Is there any hope left for Flipside?
I'm going to say not in this game, unfortunately. So it looks like Flipside will go 0-2, but we've got 2 rounds still defined for Na'Vi, and anything can happen. They've gone back to guns this time around with World Edit on AWP.
Oh, well, there's 1 kill, incredible. Beg your pardon. Waylander has that, but definitely limited across the board. Only 1 smoke remaining and an incendiary. That's it. They're playing up close and personal. Electron have been great so far. You can find frags here. If he gets the MVP, we'll see. Very good performance. Is it going to be enough though? 20 kills so far. Nade to the face. I think he might be done for. Edward finds him. Good flashbang. Nade as well. 5 and 4. This is where Na'Vi are so dangerous. When they have the advantage, they slow it right down. Wait for the CT reactions to come in. Flamey looking for more AK frags. Very accurate with that weapon.
Oh, waits. Flamey gets taken down by Blade.
Indeed.
45 seconds. Na'Vi with bomb still back toward A main. Looks like Simple may back off as well. I take that back. I thought he may go join them in Brown Halls and head toward B, but they want to walk in. Guardian's the one to lead it. And we're taken out by World Edit. Guardian now knows where he is. Simple instead finds the kill. Markelov could strike back. He's played well from these back halls. In fact, he's been spraying with the AK when he picks it up. This time he's only got the M4. It's not good enough. Guardian finds him, and the same position Blade is found.
Goodbye, Blade. That should be the round concluded, and match point picks up. Wayland's got to go for it. He knows that, but seized 1 step ahead of the game. Waits and Pop Dog takes him down, and there it is. 15-9. Mountain decline now for Flipside. 6 rounds in a row is what it requires. They have to buy into every single one of them. UMP's coming out. It's looking pretty grim in terms of the money. UMPs, MP9s, FAMAS's. Oh, it's looking pretty bleak, I have to say. 7 kills for Blade. This is one of his more shocking performances, I have to say. 7 kills, 20 deaths. Hate to see that. Number 25. We can step up now with that lesser SMG. Maybe there's still life yet, but it's not looking likely.
I love it. Let's go Krieg.
That's out. That's never ever got a kill, I swear, in a big tournament. He always comes up with, oh, it's here.
Magisk.
No, but yeah, he never gets it though. Everyone tells me how sick he is with it. I've never seen him get a kill with it.
Well, even he's given up on it, I think.
Like, certainly viable. Like, it makes sense. It does like sick damage, and like it's got no drop off in terms of the 1 bullet shot. In terms of the accuracy.
Yeah.
But it just never seems to deliver. And it's only a few $100s more, right? I think it's $3,000 instead of 2,700.
Guardian AWP pre-scoped walking Ivy.
Hello.
Finds World Edit against the wall. Swings out. Ooh, steals it, but he had it. Doesn't have the second follow-up, though. Just barely gets behind the box.
Here it comes.
Might want to send seized again. MP9 from Blade. Tapping can't do anything. It's down to Waylander, and it's 1 kill. Na'Vi trying to go 1-on-1, and they'll do it. Simple with the shot. Trades back Flamey. 16-9 in the end. 2 rounds only on the CT side for Flipside.
And both pistols.
And both pistols as well, you're right.
Yeah, well, slight caveat to that is obviously Simple, that fourth ball, AK-47 in the second round, was just an amazing performance. So it's quite rare to see that kind of purchase actually really pay off. They would have been fine either way if they lost that round. They still have money to buy in the third, but he just delivers an amazing performance there and pretty much wins them the game, gets them right back into it. Flipside can't get back into the game once that happens. So apologies for the delay. That was a little bit frustrating for people watching, but we got back in there, and Na'Vi, as expected, do take the victory after losing both pistols. Congratulations to them, bouncing back after the defeat to G2 yesterday.
Bouncing back, indeed. They had to. Again, 0-2 is a scary spot right now for anyone because FaZe sits in that same bracket. Find out more about who they play at the end of the day.
Yeah, that would have been crazy if Na'Vi goes 0-2 and then FaZe are down there as well. Like, some fireworks could be going off the major. But luckily, it would have been cool to see that anyway, just so that the game it would have delivered. But you want to see the best teams at the top, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, of course. And I want to see a resurgence from Na'Vi. Like I said, they're very exciting when they're on form. Yeah. Still not convinced that the form is all there, but there was at least a few individual plays. That said, we'll send it over. It's Paul standing by with the desk.
Yes, indeed. And just to reiterate what Henry was saying there, apologies for the delay in the middle of that game. We did get there in the end, though, and it is Na'Vi that come out on top in their match with Flipside, a CIS battle that we were expecting to be fierce and ferocious. Didn't quite live up to the fairy tale that we were hoping for, but nevertheless, some good plays from both teams. We're back at the desk once more with our panel members. Robin, what did you make of that overall? Weird game in the sense that you think Flipside have got a chance in this if they can pick up both pistols. And
no, definitely, and that's what I said before we cut to Matt and Henry when we went live. There's like Flipside has to win on their T side.
Yeah.
But it's very weird. Coming into this tournament, I would have expected Flipside to even be more strategic in that sense, but I feel like they've changed how they play a little bit. They still have some set strats, especially on a map like Train. I was expecting execute after execute after execute, but we never really saw that. And then Flipside winning that initial or the second pistol round, I was like, all right, we can build on this. And then instantly that simple 4-kill with AK is just like that. Then you know it's somewhat gonna be over, right? Especially when the issue with Flipside, when they don't have individually strong players, to have one-star player, seat size are going to be very, very difficult. Mainly because you're going to get so many individual duels and you have to hit these shots, especially versus a team like Na'Vi that has more than one. And we saw that yesterday versus Fnatic as well for Flipside. It was just a very hard time on their CT side.
Yeah, only the 2 rounds in that second half, Janko. It's not good enough, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. You need to do better when you win both pistols, and it was what we were talking about for Flipside. It has to be a strong start. They like to switch things up generally on their T side, especially on Train, starting out a bit more aggressive. We didn't see it in terms of pace. We saw it in terms of what they were trying to do, get a player out towards Quad very early on in the round and then play off of him. It was electronic. That didn't work out initially, and that was when Nai was able to string a couple of rounds together. Then they changed their style a little bit, focused more on the inner bomb side, went for some very explosive contact plays, so to speak, and that's what gave them success. But yeah, Robin is spot on. The flip side, against a team like Na'Vi especially, is always going to struggle on CT sides, even on a CT-sided map like Train. And you could see it. It was basically 2 individual rounds that won the game for Na'Vi in that second half. The simple 4K in the second round, and the flamey, I think it was 3K, in a situation where they were 4v5 and he somehow sneaks out towards the outer bomb site and manages to find 3 kills and completely swings that round. And that was the round that forced Flipside, into a double eco, pretty much. So yeah, they were unfortunate in the way they lost the key rounds. Flipside did. If that didn't happen, they would gain some momentum and maybe have a stronger second half.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows, Robin, you've played in teams with star players. When they do something outrageous like Simple did, just changes the whole complexion of the game, doesn't it?
No, definitely. It definitely makes it easier, right? It's like you don't have to necessarily rely on your tactics if you have one individual or even 2 that's just outperforming to the usual. So, and especially Simple. I mean, yesterday we had Simple again, so it's actually the second game for him that he's been playing really well.
We've got Guardian waiting for us in the player area, and he's going to join us now. Guardian, good afternoon, and congrats on the win.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, and also congrats on the marriage. I haven't had a chance to say that, I don't think, since we saw each other. So congrats on getting married, or commiserations, I don't know.
Thank you.
Could be either one right now. In terms of what's been going on with Na'Vi over the last couple of months, obviously you guys all got together at your wedding, you've hung out. it's a good team. You seem more settled, I have to say, since you've got married. Is all the pressure of sort of leading up to that marriage and the wedding and everything else, is that all disappeared now for you? Are your shoulders much lighter?
I would say so, because there's a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
And last minute you have to fix all of documents, and suddenly everything goes wrong, and then you cannot focus on the game. And somehow I lost motivation to play the game. I hated the game, and now it feels much better. I want to play. I come here earlier than the others, and I play it because I want to play.
Right.
And yeah, it feels good.
Good. I'm glad the old Guardian's back. And it certainly shows as well. Some of your form at Cologne was great, and here seems to be you just carried on from where you left off. In the way that the team are playing right now, is it championship form that you've got right now, or do you feel like you're building to it?
I think we are building to it, because, we could have won the G2 game yesterday, but somehow we got lost on the T side, and then they punished us completely. So, we are getting to the form that can be the top tier level. But I think we need to fix a lot of stuff to do so, and we cannot allow something like that happened yesterday. We have to close our game, and for example, in the pistol round, I just missed both because the communication was wrong in the freeze time. That shouldn't happen, and that's why I think it kept going the whole side, and we just threw the game away.
Right, that's a contrast to like a year ago when you said to me, I just get sick of this team sometimes. They just keep shouting and screaming and stuff. And now it's gone the other way. You've all gone quiet.
Sometimes we just discuss completely useless things that we need to during the game. So yeah, that's why we do mistakes and we get punished for them.
Yeah. Okay. I've got a couple of gents alongside me. I know they want to ask some questions as well. Robin and Janko. Janko, you got anything for Guardian?
Yeah. What you mentioned about the game yesterday versus G2, I think it's one of the most obvious problems for you guys as a team, the leadership, and sometimes in the T side that you look lost. What is it that you guys are trying to do to kind of make that better? Is it more people trying to contribute and help Seized in the in-game leading or something else?
I think if I compare the game yesterday that we played, I would say there are too many ideas that we gave to Seized, and then he was completely in a chaotic form. He didn't know what to do, and suddenly we were just going to long and then suddenly going B last 20 seconds or something like that. So I think that was a mistake. We should trust him in his calls and not making ideas for him. He knows what to do, and a lot of times we just don't believe in that, and that's why he gets lost in the calls, and then it happens that we have a chaotic game because of that. It feels like that, at least.
I had a question about the difference even for yourself when you compare yourself playing with Seized. I guess that has a lot looser kind of playstyle versus when you were playing with Zeus, for example, right, where he's a little bit more strict. What do you think for yourself, for your own individual's sake, that does the stricter playstyle fit you better, or do you like it a little bit looser?
I like it more looser because sometimes I feel I can pick somewhere, and nowadays it's very hard to ask for it because we have other players that can do it as well. And I'm not really satisfied with my style of playing at the moment, but for example, sometimes I just play completely different role. Like I can play suddenly 10 rounds on B as CT that I didn't play, for example, and then it's hard to find some game for myself. But I need to adjust to it, and I need to find my own game thanks to it. So
do you feel like the change with Simple joining your team has changed your playstyle a little bit in that regard? Because like you're saying, you were playing spots that you don't normally play before. Is that because you have so many other people within your team that just wants more space and just I want to do this, and then you get caught in the back end kind of?
I'm not sure if it's because of Simple join or it's because Andy and Seized they try to find some other style, some style that works for the whole team and not only for one player. Probably that's why. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, we have made a lot of changes, and some of them are good, some of them are bad, but I think we will get to the point that everything will be good for everyone.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. Have you got your honeymoon planned for after the major?
Yeah, we are going to Indonesia and China.
Okay. All right. Good. I'm glad that you treat your lady well, and you can take her away and have some fun after the major finishes. Thanks for joining us. Congrats today. Well done on the win.
Thank you.
Let us love that. Guardian, aka obviously with Na'Vi winning today after losing yesterday. Very disappointing they were yesterday, Janko. That's a good bounce back, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And no, it's interesting to hear his insight about the issues that they have on the T sides, and that's something that happens fairly often with teams, you know, a case of too many cooks, everyone trying to pitch in and let's do this, no, let's do this, you know, maybe a good example is Cloud9 with Sean Gers at Memphis in the same team. That was a while back, but that's the first one that comes to my mind, right? And then the in-game leader kind of gets disheartened a little bit because he's always being second-guessed, he's always being questioned, and you hate to see that. So there needs to be clear leadership in a team for it to really work out.
Yeah, a bit like in the old days with NIP, isn't it? I mean, you had Exist, strong leader, yourself, strong leader, you had Get Right, who's plenty of experience, Forrest would come in with it, Freiburg with that. Didn't you have some of that at one point?
So I was just going to touch on that as well. It definitely happens, especially if your team is not performing.
Right.
Because then you're going to start second-guessing your in-game leader. You're going to feel like every call that he makes is incorrect, especially if you feel like you have all the information, right? And it's just very important as a team. If you have made this decision that you're going to have this one in-game leader, it doesn't matter if you have 4 different opinions where you want to go.
Right.
At the end of the day, if he calls, say, B, then you go B. No, there's nothing else. There can't be any point like, okay, well, I kind of don't want to do it. All right, then just listen to him and just fall back and do it, right?
There's also mentality, though, isn't it? Because in your brain, if you're having that half doubt, it's still a half doubt, even if you haven't voiced that opinion. And I don't think we should go B. And even if you do go B, you're still not fully committed to it.
Yeah, and especially then if you yourself call like, oh, I think we should split A here, for example, right? And your in-game leader says, actually, let's go B. If that round doesn't end up working, what do you think is going to happen, right? It's like,
you're automatically like,
I knew it. Yeah, you should listen to me. Just goddamn it, you know. No, but it is, especially with a team like now, because they have been struggling, and I think that they really need, that's why we were referring to, you know, Zeus and even Starix. They're supposed to be this pillar behind the team of like even calling that time as listen to this person, right? This is the one guy that's going to be doing your mid-round calls. You might not like it, but this is how it is.
Let's take a look at the scoreboard and wrap up on the MVP for this particular game as well. Good performances all over the board, really, for Na'Vi in the end. Edward slightly lower on the scoreboard in terms of kills, perhaps, but a good contribution nevertheless. Simple 23, Flamey 22, Seas 22, Guardian 19, all chipping in with the frags in there. And likewise, really, when you look at the flip side, Janko, it's not that bad. I mean, Blades had a rough game, but he doesn't necessarily pile on the frags as the in-game leader for that team anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Electronic, again, a very, very strong performance from him. Another quiet performance from Veilander. It kind of, again, shows the inconsistency. He needs to be that second star of the team, basically, either him or Voldede, depending on maybe the map or the game. But instead, it was Markelov actually having a very strong game this time around.
Apart from when he had the AWP.
Apart from when he had the
disappointingly, I was like, yes, he's got the AWP, yes.
Yeah,
no.
it just shows you the problem with Flipside as a team. They need more firepower.
Yeah.
Whether it's the new players or these players stepping up, it just, you know, they need to be able to do more on their CT side.
Indeed. MVP for this one was Seized. I think that's a decent pick out as well, particularly when Garden was talking about, you know, they've had some issues with yesterday not trusting him and so on. So today they have to trust him, and he's also come up with a big game.
Yeah, I mean he also had a pretty bad game individually yesterday as well. So get the lads' confidence up a little bit with an MVP here. I mean, Seas is a very, very skilled player and was a big part of the old Na'Vi lineup, right? When they had Zeus as the in-game leader, he was the anchor on the smaller bomb side, right? Lurker at times, but he had to take a step back in all of that to focus mostly on the in-game leader, and that's why his performance individually has taken a dip as well. So I think if Na'Vi were a more cohesive unit, I think his individual performance would increase as well. But you know, every now and then we do see a flash from the old Seas.
We do see a flash of the old brilliance indeed. Right, that is it wrapped up on the CIS derby. Flipside versus Na'Vi is done. Na'Vi pick up the win this time round. Flipside in all sorts of troubles right now, although I don't care. They'll still come back for the next major and they'll still qualify because that's what they do every time. Next up, we're going to move on to a very different kind of battle. 2 experienced teams in this particular game. Next up, though, the least experienced 2 teams here go head-to-head. They have less than 2 majors between all of the 10 players. Next up, it's VEGA Squadron versus Immortals.
Coming up next, Immortals versus VEGA Squadron.
Qual è il programma? La guerra.
I tempi stanno cambiando.
Vogliamo che tu li combatta per mostrare loro chi siamo.
Oh Lord, my Lord and Savior, please deliver me.
Who's gonna win?
Grab your gear and let's go.
With the Strafe Esports app, follow your favorite teams and players, and you'll never miss a match again. Strafe, everything esports. Download now on iOS and Android.
Oh, crap.
Exclusive Black Equalizer brightens dark scenes without overexposing bright areas. Use the S switch to quickly access the setting and switch between save modes.
I capture the pawn at e5. You lose your queen. Check. I think like a 40-year-old, and...
Staszek, you could help in the kitchen instead of playing with that gizmo all the time.
She just won't let me play in peace. TP-Link connects with passion.
Agent Broughton, she's our best intelligence expert. We have a mission for you.
Shall we begin?
Atomic Blonde. Rated R.
They have no idea he's that close. They're looking for more. That's a third one coming in. Looking for the quad kill and nearly gets it.
Yes, there's one headshot and there's another.
Getting two big headshots, looking for more. Oh my god!
And he's gonna go on Team J or the round of the weekend.
This is incredibly sneaky from SQUADRON now. He's going to be walking forward. A couple of seconds left. He goes for the shot, and it's a headshot. And Cello is down. Oh no! SQUADRON has got no heart at all. He gets the last kill as well. Steals the round.
We have a lot of tournaments coming up, but I think after Cologne, I think we will be boot camping in Europe.
That's so difficult. That's a kill. Yep. See it coming, couldn't you? Yeah, Ethan was too slow to move on it. Oh, they checked the corner. Stewie's got a third! How does he manage it? Fortunate for him, there is no one behind him where he just checked, but they're so deep in the site, his angle's going to be thwarted. First one, success. Knows the second there, but now they're all in the site. No way, Ethan! I thought he had nothing to work with. He gets all three. Kusta, though, and Ethan have made up for it. Excuse me. I was going to say CLG are still finding kills despite going down men early, but KNG's made up for that, rotating back into the AWP. In fact, closes the round himself.
This is a great position. Kusta will have no idea. Easy kill. Can he find more than one? He gets three. Amazing round from Bolts here, doing damage all over the place. This could be an ace. That's fantastic.
We're going to do a boot camp in Europe, so we can fix a lot of mistakes playing from there, because we have like a lot of times to practice.
He's going to do it, Chad. You can't stop him. He's going to get the one shot. Actually picks up the second kill. Goes for the spray. It's not always the best move, but that's the bomb down. Automatic finding the perfect kill. Skadoodle showing up as well. He gets the kill on Automatic, but I am not sure it's enough. They have... Oh, the shot coming through. Yes, it was.
I think the offline qualifier is kind of like the major already. There's a lot of really good teams in it. They've all played in majors before.
Is he going to try?
No way. Oh, he's got it as well. The flashbang, a lot of money, and he's one of the double offers, so that's actually pretty big. And now there's a piece of weaponry that can make this dicey. Another flashbang comes out, goes for the peak, he gets a second. But he is surrounded, and he's all alone. One more for KNG. He's got three, and he's going to get a fourth, and it's down into a one-on-one. What a heroic round from KNG.
Playing against Europeans is the best practice because it's the highest level of Counter-Strike right now. So I think we can do good on the close qualifiers if we have like the good preparation that we are planning to.
He's had to clutch this so many times, but he just barely gets the ball. He doesn't even need it. What a clutch from KNG.
A very warm welcome back to the PGL Major in Krakow for 2017, second major and the 11th major in history. 16 of the best teams of the world here to chase the dream of being crowned the champions of the world. We're in day 2 right now. We're in the final match of our 0-1 teams from day 1, of course. Immortals going head-to-head with VEGA Squadron. We're going to get the thoughts of Fifth Lauren in just a moment alongside Yanko. But first, let's get the thoughts from a man who's not here in spirit, or not here in person, but definitely here in spirit. It is, of course, the one and only Thorin.
VEGA Squadron come into the major as one of the biggest upsets of all time to even qualify for the major, because this is a team where, when they made it to the last major qualifier for the E-League major, most people looked at their qualification for that tournament and they said, right, this just shows that the CIS region has been so successful because they'd had 3 teams that had made the legend spots at ESL1 Cologne. They've been so successful that unfortunately they've been a victim of their own success, and as a result the teams that are coming out of the CIS minor just aren't any good. These are just teams that are below par, but we've got slots for the qualifier, so some have made it through, but they won't do anything. Now, as we found out at that tournament, VEGA Squadron was able to beat NIP, beat them handily and beat them on the map that actually NIP had been one of the best in the world on that year, cash. So that kind of gave us a little bit of insight as to, okay, maybe this is a team that can actually do something when they get to LAN and they play against the better teams. But even so, coming into this major qualifier, it was a pretty stacked qualifier. And even more crucially, it wasn't just some extremely good teams who will qualify. Kind of almost from 1 to 16, you had pretty good parity between the teams. So qualifying should have been even more difficult to get those 3 wins. So the fact that VEGA Squadron was able to do so, they were able to qualify, they're actually at the major, does mean that, yes, while it was unexpected, while nobody knew that this is the kind of level we could expect from them and it wasn't just a one-off what happened against NIP, I think that they come in with a lot of uncertainty still about what they're going to do at the big tournament. We've never really seen them at that level before. Beyond the major qualifier in the past, they haven't been to the big lands. You don't see them qualifying. They don't even tend to be in a position online where you expect them to be in the top level of different tournaments. So they've got a lot to prove. You should definitely make a distinction between teams in past majors. In the early days, sometimes they would recruit lower level teams from smaller regions just to give them a chance. That's not what happened here. They qualified just like everyone else through the major qualifier against some of the other teams that are going to go on probably to have a good major. But they're coming in as a surprise package. People still don't really know what to expect from them. Their style of play is still fairly unknown because not many teams have matched up against them. So they have a chance to do something special, but if they do, it will be one of the great upset runs of the major. The player in VEGA Squadron who is most often cited as their star player, someone who perhaps is a rising star within the CIS region, and we look one day, maybe he'll go outside of the VEGA Squadron organization and play for a more well-known team, is probably Mir. He's someone where people have looked at his numbers. Yes, some of it's online, some of it's against lesser opponents, but within his team, he's the clear name that was standing out. And so the natural progression of how things go in Counter-Strike is when your team gets to a higher level and you're the star within your team, it's kind of that thing that, you know, all ships rise with the tide. Like, it's in a situation where people are looking at VEGA Squadron, like, are they a team that can do something? Can they cause upsets? And so naturally, we should be asking these questions of Mir. Can he match up against some of the talents we've seen come out of the CIS region? We know Flamey, Simple. We've had some fantastic players. More recently, we've obviously had Electronic come through. There's real talent in the CIS region. There always has been. It's whether they can get teams together that can harness that talent. So it's not just individual players. So the battle for Mir is not only to prove himself individually against the rest of CIS and Europe's best, but in his team. Can they be a good enough team? Do they have a good enough system? Do they have a deep enough map pool that he'll be able to shine through and show off his potential as a player?
So Thorin's thoughts on VEGA Squadron, a team that have come through all the way through the qualifiers, through the minor championships and through the offline qualifiers just to reach the major itself. It's a huge achievement for a brand new team, of course, at the start of the year. But, as Thorin said, plenty still to be tested there. And Janko, it is a big test for them, and no more so the fact that they found themselves at 0-1 and now face Immortals. That's a tough task.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that even the opposition that they faced at the major qualifier, you know, beating the likes of Optic, Tyloo and Dignitas, I mean, both of these teams, especially Virtus Pro and now Immortals, are a couple of levels above that in terms of competition. So I agree with VEGA. It's about them having to prove themselves now against the real tough opponents. Obviously, no one expects them to make it into the playoffs, but give us something that we can, you know, hope for in the future. Give us a good result. Show us that you have really improved, that you can take the game to some of these tier 1, tier 2 teams. Otherwise, you just wait for the major to end and you just wait, okay, which team is Mir going to go to, for example, right? Because he is the obvious star of the team.
Yeah, and there is that. We've already spoken about the potential of a big CIS shake-up after the major as well. So I'd imagine all of these players want to perform well here, Robin, regardless of whether they're staying with their team or their team doesn't go forward. They want to make sure they're putting themselves out there.
Yeah, especially when you start the rumor here that we're going to have a CIS.
I did not start this rumor.
Yes, you did.
I did not start this rumor.
That's how I remember it.
Exactly.
I might have started it today.
It's even on social media.
Is it?
Red Eye confirms CIS shuffle.
Yeah. Just what I've heard.
Yeah. Page Red.
Can't confirm anything more than
exactly,
that.
But I don't even think so. For European practice, even for North America, right? For the top teams, they always have this this group or a channel where they search games in, and I don't necessarily think that VEGA Squadron is even in there, right? So for them to even get to this event to play against these top teams, it's really good practice coming into it, right? You're not expecting them, like Janko was saying, you're not expecting them to make the playoffs. You're probably not even expecting them to win a game, right? But keep it close. The game yesterday was VP, for example. It's like, what can you take away from that?
Yeah.
You just got completely demolished.
Yeah, there's nothing they can take out of that really.
Not
They could just put it behind them and show up today and show what they can do.
But they do have some maps that they're quite good on. I mean, the one that just pops out in my mind is Cash right off the bat, right? Just it seems to fit their playstyle quite nicely. I think the new pick yesterday was a mistake, even though I don't think they've lost that on that map before. But playing against VP, which
I mean that's what Janko was saying, isn't it? It's just a couple of steps ahead in terms of nuke as well.
Exactly, but I definitely could see them pulling off an upset. It all depends on their opponents this event, how they choose to veto. Yeah. If they pull into VEGA's strength here, because they do have some pretty decent players that can shoot heads. So I'm looking at Cash, I'm looking at Inferno. So yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge achievement to make it here from where they've come from as well. You have to remember just how far they've come through those qualifiers. Likewise, there's a team on the other side, of course, Immortals, who are also here as a qualifier. Janko, it seems almost unbelievable that we keep talking about them as a qualifier, and the first time they've ever played at a major as the 5 team. We've got a couple of players in there, of course, that have got some major experience. They're the only 2 in this match who have, but that should help them, really, shouldn't it?
I mean, it should to an extent. I don't really think it matters all that much, because at that time they were just, pieces of the puzzle in Fallen's team, right? When they were Luminosity or Keystars or Kaboom at that time, whatever the name of the team was. But right now, actually, Bolts and Steel are the 2 leaders of this team, and tactically at least, right? Both have been the in-game leaders. Right now it's Bolts again, but I'm sure Steel helps him out, and it's up to them to, kind of pave the way for the rest of the guys coming in, who are the impactful, the high explosive trio in Henny, Lucas, and KNG. So I really think that it's a different type of a path for them. So I'm not sure. Obviously, it helps having experience. I think more than anything else, it helps playing with Fallen back then and in that team in terms of learning a couple of things when it comes to in-game leading and leadership in general. So still. Yesterday, Immortals, that overtime game against Astralis, obviously probably the most difficult opponent you could get in the first round. So we still have to see what they have in store for us in this qualifier.
Yeah, overtime obviously yesterday.
Qualifier, major group stages.
Yes, indeed. Overtime yesterday against Astralis, doing pretty well, and had a shot at winning that game as well. We've talked a little bit about the new boy KNG in the team. We've talked about the other 2 being experienced. The other 2 we haven't really spoken about is the twins. And how do you assess how they've done so far in this team?
I think that N1 for me was supposed to be their star player, right? The big time Opry is going to be like Fallen's little brother essentially, right? When you look at it, it should be just pure impact. But I feel like for Henny, it hasn't really shown that much, especially with important games. Yesterday, he didn't really have a good game versus Astralis. Lucas, however, had a really good game. So I just feel like that comes with pressure. That comes with experience. It comes with playing terms like this some more. But I definitely can see Henny stepping up when it actually matters. When it comes to, like, for example, versus this game versus VEGA Squadron, I think that Henny's just gonna have a field day, right? Whereas like Lucas, I just see more of like a kind of stable kind of player. Whereas like Henny, you're looking into those kind of star performances.
Yesterday I saw a tweet, and I'm going to butcher this. I know I am, so forgive me. And I can't remember for the life of me who I saw its timeline on, but it was one of the regular CS:GO posters, I'm sure. And he said, "It seems astonishing to me that was it Lurpus?
Yeah.
Twin brothers have no team play between them."
Yeah, well, it's definitely Lurpus.
I mean, and he's got a point, hasn't he? Because yesterday they were a bit loose at times with some solo plays and steaming into the bomb site without any cover and doing all the things that you just wouldn't expect a team that have got good cohesion and have played together for a while now would do.
Yeah, and that's been an issue for Immortals for a very, very long time, and it mostly stems from having Phelps in the lineup, right? He's that wild card type of a player. You can give him a lot of freedom, but he's always going to do something different, and it's very difficult for the rest of the team to kind of adjust to that, right? That means that what you have to do around him is going to change all the time, and that's inconsistent in its own right, and that makes it difficult to establish team play over a very long time. And for Immortals back then, I mean, it was the way they would win games. It was Phelps and Henny creating those openings or making those picks, and then just the rest of the team working around that. And that's something that's going to get you upset wins. It's going to get you, a deep tournament run every now and then, but you're never going to be a consistent contender in today's CSGO landscape with that type of a playstyle. And I think they are aware of that, and it's something that Immortals have been trying to work on in recent times.
Both teams just getting themselves ready to the lobby, and we will get into the vetoes fairly shortly, no doubt. Let's turn our attention to map choices and how important they'll be. They're important in every match, obviously, but these two teams and the various ways that they look at maps. Janko, how do you feel their depth is right now?
I think it's fairly similar. One thing that goes Vega's way is that the two maps they don't play, Cobble and Overpass, are generally strong maps for Immortals. So in any case, they are going to end up on something that's going to be beneficial for them. I would expect their third veto to be actually Mirage, which is, again, a map that Immortals did veto yesterday, but you would look at it and think, okay, this is a good Immortals map. That being said, Immortals gets rid of Nuke, and at that point, with Cash, Inferno, and Train, depends where they want to take it. You would maybe imagine they don't want to play Train, hasn't been the best map for them, and also if they pick it, Vega gets to start the CT. So probably something between Inferno and Cash. For Vega, I think Inferno would be more beneficial because what we've seen from them in terms of how they approach the map at the major qualifier, some aggression on the CT side, I think that's something that maybe can catch Immortals a little bit off guard and could give Vega upset potential with a strong start.
Are you surprised at all, Robin, with the map pool that we've seen so far?
Not necessarily. I think that with the new veto system, I think, yeah, we don't have the randomizer anymore, right? So you're definitely going to
unless you're G2.
Unless you're G2. I mean, you can go that route as well. You put the faith into the coin. No, but not necessarily. I think that especially for this matchup right here that Janko was touching on, I think that actually just looking at veto, I think Vegas One has a chance here, because if you look at their best maps, these are maps that you're going to be playing here today versus Immortals, and we're talking about like Cash, Inferno, possibly even Train. Yeah, if I was Vega, I would be more than happy to have either come into this game with either Inferno or Cash.
I think Vega wants Inferno, and Immortals probably want to go for Cash there, because yes, Cash, Vega has 3 wins on it, but those are all from the CIS minor, and a couple of them have been very, very close games.
Okay, actually, Nuke and Cash are banned.
They veto Cash themselves. Nuke is a standard one, that's no surprise, but I guess the Cash ban is probably them wanting to veto between that and Inferno. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe they want to float Mirage as well.
Let's see where Vega go. They've banned Cobble and Overpass so far.
Those are the 2 standard ones. So this is where I would expect them to veto Mirage.
Do you think so, or do you feel like maybe they want to? Because they played it an awful lot in the past, and they were good online with it. I know they didn't necessarily back that up with some land play, but they've seemingly done well on it. I mean, I take your point. I think Immortals, they'll look at it and think, maybe we don't want to play them on that map.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that Vega has better chances on the maps that would be left in the pool, right? The Train and Inferno mostly.
Yeah, Nuke is banned first.
They're thinking about it this is like maybe caught them a little bit
Mirage,
off guard.
Train, and Inferno.
Maybe they were expecting Immortals to veto Mirage already. But yeah, they are putting a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
It seems like I'm not really sure why, because with the 3 maps still in the pool.
Oh, so they've gone for the Inferno ban in the hope, I guess, that Immortals pick Mirage, but there's Train in there.
There's Train in there as well. I think for both of those maps.
So Immortals are going to pick Train.
Yeah. This is a tricky one, because as I said, you would maybe expect them to stay away from this map, because that gives Vega the chance to start on the CT side. And Vega did have some success at the major qualifier on the map, obviously beating Optic Gaming, right? Who were in underperformed at the tournament, but you could see that Vega was comfortable playing the map at least. So
I mean, the 2 games that they played on Train, they were pushing the inner bomb site. I remember ferociously in the first 7 or 8 rounds, really putting a huge amount of pressure until they got kind of figured out.
Yeah, this is for Immortals on the other side of things. A map they didn't really play it all that much. 2 times at Cologne, losing to Cloud9 and losing to Liquid in overtime. So some close games. You do maybe feel that what Vega was doing on their T side can be countered to an extent. For example, Mir either goes Ivy and lurks there, and that was where he had a lot of impact against Optic, or he's like towards the upper ramp when they go for a B execute, and that's pretty much it. And he was the main reason why Vega was able to have a strong T side against Optic. So maybe Immortals are feeling if they can shut him down, it's not going to be too big of a problem for them to beat Vega on the map.
Final words being exchanged in the Immortals team. You'll no doubt hear a shout. I don't know if we can hear it from here. We're quite away from where the players are playing, but they are quite loud as well. So maybe we will hear it as they get ready for the start of the game. Robin, your final thoughts on this matchup? Do you feel like this is a stretch for Vega and maybe Immortals just come in and crush?
I mean, I definitely could see an upset here for VEGA, mainly because it's Train. You never know. But I also feel like maps like Train, like Cobble, are really meant for a little bit more strategical teams, teams with more depth, with more individual players, because you can work more with that, right? And as Janko was saying as well, if you do have a good idea on what VEGA likes to do on their T side, with the individual players in mind, Immortals are definitely favorites here.
In any case, VEGA should try and play the way they played Inferno against Dignitas in that deciding game to qualify for the major, right? No fear, just try to be aggressive, try to disrupt their play, because that's something that Immortals probably are not going to expect that much. They know they're playing an underdog, they maybe expect them to be a little bit scared of them, right? So you can't play in such a manner if you wish to achieve anything. So even though I disagree with the pick a little bit, I think it's more about the way they approach the game in itself than it is on which map they're going to play.
I'm just going to throw a little something in there. Do you think VEGA might just decide to start T?
It's not impossible, because, you know, as an underdog team, you maybe have a clear plan on the T side and want to go for it. But I think on a map like Train, that they're not going to gamble with that.
I would have definitely preferred just for them to pick CT side and play very aggressive early on in the half.
And also, because Immortals aren't a super structured team, right? You wouldn't expect them to have a lot of things on their T side. It's going to be mostly individually based, and that's something, you know, that's easier for you to play against on the CT side than playing against a team who's super methodical, very good at like taking Ivy control, you know, and so forth, having strong B execute. So I think VEGA most likely is going to stay on the CT side.
Of course, we haven't even discussed the fact that Immortals will have no doubt studied them as well, and will have looked at those games that they played in the offline qualifiers and in the minors on this map.
Yeah, of course. That's why I was saying, like, when VEGA is on the T side, a lot of it depends on Mir having impact from that Ivy position. The same thing goes for VEGA, as we said about Immortals. You don't expect them to have a lot of things to work with on that T side. And when you're Immortals, when you're the favorite, especially with such explosive players in the lineup, a potent double AWP setup, they are in danger of getting picked apart by the aggressive play of Immortals. So from VEGA, you want to see something similar to what Penta was doing at the major qualifiers. Execute heavy play style, perhaps put a lot of pressure on that B bomb site early on, which is going to force rotations later on in the half, and then exploit that outer bomb site and put Mir into play from Ivy.
That's interesting, isn't it? The Immortals team, they stood there for quite some time chatting away with each other. You never quite know what they're saying to each other, but we've heard from Lucas a couple of times that they're literally just trying to G themselves up. They're trying to motivate themselves. And then they give out this loud roar. And then suddenly on the other side of the curtain, VEGA go, do you know what? We should all just gather round, guys. We should do that now.
Talk about
it's
something.
Like as if they couldn't do it in the same time. So no, we're going to wait for them to be done.
No, I literally think they just realized, hey, is this when we're supposed to go up and have a huddle? All right. No, they just shouted. No, we should go.
This is the thing where it's like, we are not going to sit around and wait for them to be done. They're going to be the ones waiting for us.
We used to do that as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you really?
We did. Just want to get into your opponent's
No, because
head
there were plenty of teams that used to do that, right? Mainly because like you were all ready, you were talking about it, and then you were at the end of the huddle you were screaming, you were like, oh, let's go, and it's like, sorry guys, give it another minute or two. It's like, god damn it, come on. I'm just waiting, I just want to play Counter-Strike now.
Right,
it's like,
let's see if it works. Right, you ready? We're going to virtual huddle. Ready?
What are we doing?
Right, okay, guys, we've got this. It's all good. Okay, we're good. 1, 2, 3. Yes. See this rubbish. We're terrible at it. I tell you what, I bet these two are much better at it. James and DDK are in the commentary box right now. Guys, you could do better, right?
James can't do anything better than me.
We deserve that, guys. We definitely...
I had no idea what we were going for, Paul. You're like, let's have a huddle. And
you're supposed to be an expert at this. You've done it before.
You never say yes, Paul. You always say something, go for some profanity.
Oh, right. Well, we can't do that.
Exactly. So that's why I was silent.
James can.
Yeah, Janko, you need to take them to a basketball game in Serbia and show them what proper chanting is and all that kind of
that sounds like fun.
Volume and action. It looks pretty crazy, the videos he's shown us. But basketball aside, it's Counter-Strike time. We're going
It is, gents. So please take us into the game.
Thank you very much, Paul. So indeed, Train is coming up between these two teams. VEGA Squadron, I think it's reasonable to say that they've got nothing to lose coming into this major. Would you think that's a fair statement?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just to see some of the fearlessness that we saw, as noted by Janko on the desk there against Dignitas, to allow them to get into this position where they are actually at the major, they can show that level of commitment, just as Paul showed. quite the commitment there to his little, I don't know, this victory.
He was all in. It was an all-in play.
Yeah, I was pretty. I mean, I'll
chips
give him
were
that.
over the line.
I'll give him that. Yeah, exactly. I'll give him that. So, yeah, I think VEGA from that perspective, it's very hard for teams to necessarily have a lot of understanding how to play against them. But at the same time, if you are a team like Immortals, you've got experience in these kinds of situations. I think every top-level team understands one of the best way to approach an underdog type team where you don't know necessarily all the information about how they play, and generally it's just relying on the fundamentals. You don't have to take any risks. You can just rely on having again, better fundamental Counter-Strike, more individual skill, allow them to make the mistakes, and then you punish them, and then you win the match, and then boom, you're done. That's usually how you want to go with this.
I think this particular matchup here is interesting for VEGA Squadron, and I'm very curious to see how they will perform once things begin for them. I think this is there's an opportunity for them, definitely. Going into a lot of matches here, I think they're going to be an underdog almost all the time, if not all the time. But I think this might be one. Immortals, we've seen their own struggles as well, trying to get into the major to begin with. So maybe those struggles will continue in this match. We will soon find out on Train. Match number 4 today. Many more matches to come. VEGA Squadron with the shark logo.
It's hard to get a good map or really find a map where I think you can have an edge against a team like Immortals. Again, just generally just due to the fact that they're a really strong team at the moment, and they've been preparing very heavily, and the map pool has been getting better and better, and we are about to kick things off here between Immortals and VEGA Squadron. Immortals on the T side, which I think is going to be a lot of fun, seeing how they try to open up the map when they get the money rolling, but that's the question. Who will get the money rolling first? We have the pistol round to find out.
2 CTs moving over towards the pop dog position. Steel will pop in and pop out. Very brief indeed. Bombs got headed towards Ivy. Could be a split towards the A site, and it seems that's quite likely. Flashbang being very careful, meticulous, moving into the site around the bomb train now, and so is Mir. He's good for one, but he'll get taken down pretty quickly. Headshots continue to fly in though. JR taking some down, and the CTs are raining in the kills now, leaving Henny alone versus 4, and he won't last very long. Hutchie with another kill in that round to finish things off. 2 quick kills for him, and there goes the pistol. Good start for VEGA.
Yeah, and you really like to see that when you're on that CT side, able to get those orbs in a timely manner. However, of course, with no bomb plant, we're going to see a force buy from Immortals, and VEGA Squadron are going to understand that as well. And it's interesting to see, which way teams go with this on the CT perspective, because some CT sides are thinking, okay, we'll get, small rifles, we'll try to play those longer ranges, we'll expect some of those smokes to go down, we'll wait for the smokes, we'll get the retake in, or you can go for this approach, play closer ranges with the UMPs, you've got more utility to fight back against the execution of the Ts, whatever it may be. And we can see that they're not going to have any grenades because they didn't get that bomb down. So VEGA Squadron do have a lot of advantages to play with, but you never know in CSGO, and Kianji definitely didn't know what hit him there. That's a lot of damage from that nade. One of the only players without any Kevlar, unfortunately.
There's time for Immortals though, and they are all still alive. How do they get the... Well, I mean, looking at the setup on B, I think that's probably their best opportunity to get the bomb down.
There you go.
And they might not win the round, but we'll see. I think VEGA Squadron are prepared to allow that to happen, but as you saw that Deagle shot come in, VEGA Squadron may have to uncomfortably give up a bit more. But maybe let's give them a read that a push could come into A. Not sure what exactly might be going on in VEGA Squadron, rotating back and forth. Mir now making his way through CT spawn back into the B bomb site. So it's a 2-2 setup, and JR's getting quite tagged, so problems may be compounded here for the CT side.
It's a really nice play from Immortals, but they are definitely having some trouble now that the UMPs are getting to work on them. However, great damage was done by Bolts previously, leaving JR so low in the yard that maybe there's an opportunity in this 2 versus 2. And he does not have any Kevlar and only a P250, but they should be able to close this one down here. Immortals with a real chance to win this round now as Hutchie closes in, but he's going to get closed down as Henny will bring the P250 to bear there, and Immortals stealing away a round off of the force buy. Very sad stuff for VEGA Squadron. Again, it can always happen. Really nice opening Deagle frag that we saw onto Kashanda. And now VEGA Squadron have to go for the force buy. So the battle of the force buys begins. But will it be one that ends soon or not. It's always fun when you see, you know, two teams just having to force buy it and just you have that battle that just rages on across like 5 rounds. But
so let's see, VEGA Squadron. One player picked up already. Got Kashanda around the E-box, but he's not going to get anything done of the CZ on this occasion, and the round is all but over at this point. Chopper in CT has all the guns trained on him, so he will reset the situation and try to get what little he can out of this. 5.7, a powerful pistol. May have been spotted, Chopper. He'll still land one kill at the very least. Trying to pepper Bolts. Bolt's got to be careful. He'll do the job. Some crouching at the end to make life even more difficult for VEGA Squadron. So now it is eco territory for the CT side. A good start, but not a great continuation for them. But there are still buy rounds to come. So, Dan, for those of us on Go TV, who should they be watching?
It's a really tough one when it comes to Immortals. I mean, Bolt's the IGL, very hard hitter, but I think you're probably going to be thinking about Kianji in a lot of these spots. Very aggressive, has an insane amount of confidence, which is great. And as soon as he brings your pin to play, it's going to be very fun to watch him get going. So I would probably select him.
Okay, I would. I'm going to pick. I'm not sure whether to pick Mir or JR for VEGA Squadron. Those would be one of my choices. I'm going to go with JR. I don't know. I can't pick. Okay, Mir and JR. Switch between them on the CT side. I can't pick. I can't decide which one I want to watch.
Get a second PC. Yeah. Get the game out on your phone.
Get the 2 PCs, man. I remember when I was trying to get Dragon Lore so hard. I had 10 CS:GO accounts. I was just like loading up all kinds of PCs, phones, everything with different. So now I just have like 9 redundant CS:GO accounts. But enough about me. It is time for the buy from both teams. 3-1 in favor of Immortals. Both teams on the buy. JR with the sole AWP. Might be fun to watch in this one.
Yeah, we see a lot of alley pressure coming in from Immortals early into the rounds. JR the one to be the challenger potentially, although it has smokes to begin with, which will certainly hamper any visibility for either side, using the, or rather checking the gap in the smoke. And Boltsy's made his way quickly to what the people affectionately call Olafmeister. That's a very fast position out of teammate. Going for a pick-off though. It's looking great here for VEGA initially. Kashanda with another one is now, it looks like Immortals committed into the play, out of alley, looking for more kills, but still a really good defense. We see VEGA just sort of just collapsing back into the bomb train, using the team play very effectively so far.
Another shot there from JR. 2 versus 1 doable for KNG. That's a very nice fast headshot onto Chopper. Moving up the ladder quietly now. Spots JR, but JR quick on the trigger finger. An expensive round, but a successful round nonetheless for VEGA Squadron. We'll see what Immortals' approach is. I mean, Immortals, you can see in the bottom right, they've got bags of cash. So despite VEGA Squadron winning the round, they're going to have a worse buy. The UMP's coming out on 2 players, Kashanda on the MP7. So these are very dangerous waters for the Sharks of VEGA Squadron. May get hit by the propellers of Immortals speeding past with these AKs. 3-2. Very tricky round indeed for VEGA. Do they go aggressive? Do they try and make a push into A main or something like this? They need to get an early advantage.
And we get a lot of pressure once again now into the B side of the map. Oh, Steel going straight out there. What a beautiful timing found by Steel. Able to create a hole in the defense here. Eventually does get traded as he continues the aggression, but again, he's punctured the B bomb site, allows his teammates to follow suit, get in there with that bomb soon perhaps, as it is now being ferried over. JR looking down the long channels here will find himself a first opener. And this is really important because he's going to create so much space for his teammates as he creeps forwards, but surely they're aware of this. GR very fast now. Very nice shot there, straight to the face of Lucas, but the bomb did go down.
Oh, tagging Henny through the corner of the door, and he's going back for more. He knows he's tagged him, coming out with a pistol, and Henny maybe expecting that someone else will peek. Ends up going down for free, leaving Bolts on the high ground. Smokes are on the bomb. They may touch it, but there's 2 men to try and defend things here. Bolts, can he find himself an angle? He's looking for people apart from the diffuser, and it will be diffused in the smoke. The round is being successful for VEGA Squadron. Somehow, that is a hero play from them again. They would have been in so much trouble if they'd lost that round, and the odds were stacked against them, but they made it work. Steel charging into the B bomb site. He picks one player off, gets the molly out, because very common it's that the CTs will have only one person in the B bomb site. Doesn't expect the second one there. But JR, a massive play from him to bring his team back into it.
Yeah, and it's really interesting too, just seeing the focus there from Henny, despite the flames being down. JR had just killed one of his teammates there, so perhaps maybe a miscommunication or an oversight, but whatever it was a round for VEGA Squadron, and they tied things up indeed. But the money's still flowing here for Immortals to have a full buy, and we'll see Steel picking up a kill as an aggression comes in from Chopper there towards the inner bomb site. And that's, I mean, that is such a fantastic position. Aim pick off again here for Immortals. That is 2 men down right at the start of the round. You can't really ask for anything more than that for the beginning of your T round.
Difficult times again for VEGA. 2 of their 3 players in the A side. You can see they're trying to make a difference. Now Bolt's exposed. Only the flashbang going downstairs, so next to no damage in response, but still man advantages for Immortals. Henny with a great angle and the Molotov, forcing Hutchie into the open and taking him down like an innocent partridge, trying to escape. Shadow spotted by Henny, but he misses a shot. It's a 2-on-4, however. He's got the numbers game. He'll be low on the ladder while his teammate is high, and that will be a free kill onto Kashanda. Just too many opponents. Mere 1,600 in the bank. VEGA Squadron about to get that reset button pressed by Immortals. And there it is. The last kill from Henny. Immortals in the lead once again.
Very back and forth affair. I like the fight that we're seeing out of VEGA Squadron. Obviously, when you lose to that force buy in the second round, it's really, really tough to deal with, honestly. But they managed to get the momentum back fairly swiftly after only conceding 3 rounds in a row. And now it's obviously looking really interesting as far as the money is concerned. Immortals straight back into it. We get 4 HEs here for VEGA Squadron. But is it going to be able to do much? Looks like they can't even really get much of a connection at all. And everybody is just going down to these AWPs. Mir finding one, but does get tagged as well. Oh wow, another kill coming in from Mir. Maybe more damage to be had here for him as he is still firing off with this deal, but eventually he is shot down. And that's another round there for the Immortals side.
Error.
Well then, well then. 5-3, and if you're VEGA Squadron, the money absolutely sucks. And the problem with this is every round Immortals win compounds the problem for VEGA Squadron, where if they win 1 round, Immortals are going to have the money to buy straight back again. And as we've seen in the previous round, if VEGA Squadron win their round, but they win with 1-2 people surviving, it's going to be hard for them to get that consecutive round, which gives them a thin layer of comfort. Lucas jumping into a bullet there. I think it was him. Maybe it wasn't. Who knows? Either way, business looks good for Immortals. Of course, as I say that, the scout kill comes in from Kashanda. Opportunity knocks for Immortals. Lucas has been tagged down to 30 already. 2 AWPs versus a pistol and a mobile scout. This could be awkward for the Brazilians.
Yeah, and already, I mean, if let's say everything collapses from this point, they've done an amazing job so far to get so much damage in these rounds in which you would expect Immortals, where they would be counting on getting some clean rounds so they can build that money. But great pressure from VEGA Squadron. Chopper still trying to get something done with the scout. Eventually will be taken out, but as mentioned, you know, just a couple kills in the previous round with that Deagle, a couple kills here. It really adds up in just hampering the economy and its growth for Immortals. So we'll see whether if VEGA can actually capitalize on that previous damage now that they get their buy into play again. We have the AWP out, and JR is, of course, very dangerous. With that, we've already seen some of the work that he is capable of. Now, the question really is, you know, where Immortals want to go, how they want to mix things up, because there's such a variety of strategies left for them to use. They have quite the playbook on train. See, the double AWP, of course, is very scary. Kianje and Henny both very aggressive. Henny looking for a forward play, using the cover of smokes here to get himself out there a little bit deeper than perhaps normal. At the same time, we've got Kianje working towards inner.
This position from Kianje is quite useful when the Ts throw a smoke towards connector, because sometimes it can bait a CT to get up on there in the first place, since their vision has been obscured elsewhere. JR, he was over towards Ivy, maybe had a look towards main, and he was punished for that by Henny, who's holding down main on his own. 2 Ts above Pop Dog and 2 around the B bomb site, so not exactly sure where Immortals may be headed. They've still got a minute on the clock with which to bring the ruckus, as Wu-Tang would say. Mir at the back of B, maybe going towards the spindles, and Chopper's ahead of him. Could throw a flash for his teammate if he had one, but he doesn't. In fact, Chopper's the only one with a flash. Taking down the bomb carrier. Henny's creeping. No, creeping. Misses the shot. Tries to reposition, but he can't get another shot off in time.
Big play from Chopper there. And so far as 2. Can he get anything else? It looks like Kishanda is going to start to create some distraction there. Chopper will go down to Kianji, but indeed, Kishanda gets the job done from the flank, but still, 2 more players left to find. And it's going to be a tough one. He's down to 21 health, of course, and these teams are spread out all over the place. It's very hard to predict where they're going to be coming from. And, of course, they have very good information of the 2 areas where Kishanda can come from. So he's having really to assess it. Is this doable in the slightest? And I think he's come to the logical conclusion that with 21 health and with his opponents knowing where he is, it's really too much of a tall order. And he will back away safely with the AWP. Hopefully he does not. Yeah, he should be fine.
It's got no kit either. There could have been a really big change in that round, though, because if you remember when Chopper was alive in the upper area, the T's threw a Molotov after he killed Henny. They threw a Molotov at Chopper in the upper position, but he was ahead of the Molotov as the bomb was being planted. So he could have run out and stopped it because I mean, he doesn't know if someone's facing or not, but I guess it's 50-50, but he chose not to peek. If he stops the bomb from going down there, then the round may change, but decisions were made, and it goes the way of Immortals.
And that's I love that we got to capture that moment there, just the AWP battle between Henny and JR, because of course that's one of the scary things about Immortals, because you not only have to try to out-AWP and out-duel Henny, you also have to worry about Kianji as well. Of course, we saw both AWPers respectively working the A side of the map and the B side of the map. So JR unable to best Henny in this instance, and we can see the repercussions here. They're pretty severe. Obviously, VEGA Squadron in a pretty awful place, economically speaking, and Immortals are on 7 rounds now, so they're starting to look really good in this first half.
Yeah, and I have been critical of Immortals' approach with 2 AWPs in general. Train is probably the best map to do that, and the most reasonable one, and I think against a weaker opponent it's going to be more effective as well, because it can hamper your executions, because you're going to be relying on those picks, but obviously against a weaker opponent you're going to be more likely to get those picks. We've seen Steel just running out into the B bomb site and having success there. Where is Mir? He is come to listen to the music in the lobby area, and he will see 3 players perhaps towards Ivy, but no, he won't. He's going straight towards main. He'll see Henny. Doesn't need to take him out immediately. He's very careful though. Nice crouch makes the deagle slightly more accurate. But where's everybody else? He's got minimal information at the moment.
Okay, this is really weird. Imagine how confusing that is for Henny and how they have to interpret that. Obviously, they had a player over towards that position, but now the Immortals, they just have to commit in through the alley position with the AWP out on Miris, already doing additional damage. Oh, they're all just clustering up there through alley, and Lucas will get the kill onto Hutji, but all the information is there for the CTs. There's 40 seconds left to get the bomb into the site, and Steel is so important here. He's got to create distraction, open things up, because right now his teammates are committed to alley, but they can't easily escape unless Steel can draw some fire here, get some pickoffs. And then his teammates can start to progress to the bomb train. And there is not much time left, just a mere 25 seconds as JR is looking for a player. And there it is, he'll spot Lucas going for the peak steal. That was what they needed, and now the bomb can go down.
15 seconds for that bomb to go down. And it's almost a CT crossfire, but they don't have the all-important IV position. Kishanda popping out from Pop. 10 HP now, to make it really hard for him to peek, and Steel with the pre-fire will do the job. Chopper close to the site, got a teammate around the connected position with the AWP, but can't even land the shot. The aim punch will save Steel, and that is a wipeout. Nothing saved for VEGA Squadron going into the future rounds.
And Steel should have a cape right now, James, because he just swooped in like Superman, saved the day. Because that was like, you get a guy just creeping through the white holes and just putting a deagle in Henny's back. Everyone's stuck at alley. You've given them an AWP. That is a hard situation to deal with, and I think a lot of teams just fall apart in that spot. Like, how do you assess the situation? It's so chaotic. There's not much time, but still, again, bailing him out the previous IGL. It's now Bolts, of course, as mentioned. And we'll see Steel working towards the inner position as his teammates play very passively towards the other areas of the map. Ali, very passive as well as the team in area. In fact, no one is remotely near team main at the moment. So Immortals perhaps predicting aggression, but it's not to be just yet.
Yeah, change of pace from the Brazilians after all the madness that Steel has been pulling a lot of it over towards the B bomb site. And that might keep VEGA Squadron entertained there with 2 players as opposed to the 1 as you often see, which, if Immortals wants to go towards A, will make life easier for them in that direction. KNG looking towards the B bomb site. And again, they've got 2 AWP, so with 50 seconds left, it'll be interesting how they approach the site now that they've chosen to have a slow approach. You can see Henny's running up some grenades with his teammates, so we may see a wall of smoke, but Kashanda's in a forward position. Will he choose to back off behind the smoke and play with his teammates, or will he stay there in isolation? It might be a one and done spot too if he's lucky. He hasn't moved an inch, but surely his silence is exposing his position from there as well. Steel, though, hasn't noticed anything just yet, and out he comes. No kills for Kashanda.
And the rest of his teammates are stuck behind smoke. Tachi will hear the plant attempt, but he is being the victim of bullets from all over the place as Lucas just darts through the smoke there, aggressively finding multiple kills, leaving it just down to Mir and Chopper, but sorely out of position. Despite this, Mir will pick up a kill, but we can see that Immortals, after getting the bomb down, have sort of fallen back, taken superior positions, and Bolts, great couple kills from him there to finish off the round, and that's one more to add to the tally here for a very, very good scoreline here for Immortals, 9-3.
Yeah, I do wonder if VEGA have a prepared response for that, because it's, you know, if you're going to leave one CT by E-Box on his own in front of a wall of smoke when you're going to be facing, you know that if it's an A execute, you're going to have a number of people there. If it's not, you got info. But if it is, he's going to die, right? Unless he has the round of his life. So how many is he likely to get? How many is it worth him dying for to kill? It's got to be a minimum of 2. But
did we see
they didn't seem to have much response to
from
that.
VEGA to help him out?
I didn't notice any, but I can't say for sure if they were from the back, but didn't seem that way.
Yeah, it felt like there wasn't, but sometimes you have to be looking for that, because there's so many things happening. You have to be looking specifically for one of those flashbangs to come in, but it would have, a perfectly timed flashbang would have really made some difference there for him, that's for sure. But indeed, this 9-3 scoreline is intimidating at this point. Kianji with the AWP from Team Main looking to make this anti-eco a bit easier. It's going to be Henny, though, working from Pop Dog. How oppressive it must be already. You've got both Kianji and Henny's working those ults from 2 sides. Another nice Eagle shot to be featured, but it's small consolation in the face of yet another round won by Immortals, and in such a convincing manner as well.
Yeah, VEGA Squadron is the draw you want at the moment in this stage of the tournament. 10-3. VEGA winning the pistol, but losing the force buy immediately afterwards. On the buy once again, JR on the AWP. In the few rounds they've won, we've seen he's been important. Henny out immediately, exposed to the high ground, but straight in the face, and it's JR he takes down. And again, we've seen JR, he's made some power plays to win some of the few rounds VEGA Squadron have got, so for him to go down immediately, that's not a good sign. Hutji with an aggressive response. Good timing. Henny fires the shot, leaves him exposed, and he will be exposed. VEGA Squadron now in the lead.
Plenty of time, though, to try to work something back here, and Kianji might just find a good timing indeed. With that AWP. Looking to go for the peak. Kashanda's got to be careful here. Molotov tossed out, though, and smoke found for cover there to keep Kashanda safe for the time being. However, how long will that last? We do have Lucas coming in from Ali, so he's one of the most important players here to try to create something, and they can really go 2 ways with it. Either initiate out of Pop Dog first, or Lucas can initiate first, because it's going to be harder for the guys to get out of Pop Dog Looks like they'll do it simultaneously, however, and see what they can find. Lucas soon to have an engagement. Spots ahead, but it's his head to be set to roll on the train yard as we get a trade coming in now. Steel and Kianji with 30 seconds to try to salvage this.
It's an important pick onto Kashanda, and it might just help them get the bomb planted. But Mir is rotating towards Ivy. KNG is going to get taken down from the back. Stereo kills from VEGA Squadron. No plant for Immortals. And finally, VEGA are back on the scoreboard. But how far can they take it? We'll see how they spread the wealth on their team. The rifles are coming out. So, indeed, the round after they win a round, they have a better buy than we've seen previously.
So 4 rounds. A hard-fought 4 rounds. They did, of course, win the pistol, but they did lose to a force buy.